1, 2, 1, 2. All right, we're good. Hello, race fans, and welcome to Buttonwillow Raceway Park, the circuit at Buttonwillow, our third race at this brand new racetrack. Today it is Cal Club out here for their regional races, for double regional this weekend. We've got about 5 races today, 5 races tomorrow, starting out with Group 1, STL, STU, GT3, GT3U, T3, and T4. Getting ready to get this first race of the day underway. I'm Brian Polanski. Tristan Parker here is with me.
I am, hopefully.
We've got the green flag in the air. Had a little bit of technical difficulties this morning, so we're a little behind the 8 ball here, and so we do not have our qualifying order here for you. But I can tell you that we are racing here. We are underway, and our first cars have come through. We are on lap number 1, so of our races for today. I'll have to look up to remember how we're doing these today. I believe these are 25-minute timed races.
They are 25-minute timed races here today. Brian, this is Group 2, so your STLs, your STUs, GT3s, usually a fairly competitive little group here, or at least a lot of racers in it. We have 11 today, and I can give you, I think, a rough grid order here going in. I'm not sure if this is necessarily perfectly off of the qualifying times, but it'll at least give everybody at home an idea of who's in this race. So starting off at the back is in 11th, number 98, Robert Kelly. In 10th, number 33, Philip Clark. In 9th, number 8, Tim Gregorio. In 8th, number 93, Edmund Lowe. Alongside him, number 23, Lawrence Huang. In 6th, number 22, Derek Ferretti. Alongside him, number 9, Blaine Bridges. In 4th, Christina Etherington, number 96. In 3rd, number 52, Famous Dale Shoemaker. In 2nd, number 28, Joseph Yao. And in 1st place, your pole position, number 91, Richard James, and he was leading the pack when they set off across the line. He did have Joseph Yao right behind him at that time, but they are off for now and seem to be maintaining good order and clip as they go around here.
Well, I seem to have my cameras out of order. This is actually to turn 7 camera. Now we're at turn 8. I'm all fakaka today. I don't know what's going on.
You know, it's been a weird couple of days. We'll get into that. It's been a weird couple of days out here in Southern California in general. For those of you who aren't from the region, we've had a lot of rain. It's not really reflected on the track here today. Fortunately, at Buttonwillow, it's pretty dry, a little cold out there, if anything. Starting to warm up here. But in general, yeah, it's been a rainy couple of days. Drivers, I think, coming out maybe prepared for that, only for it to be actually, as you can see on the cameras there, beautiful, sunshiny day. Good clear skies with a little bit of clouding. So a good day for racing all around, as it so often is here at Buttonwillow. But, you know, it's fine. It's fine. First race of the day, first race of the weekend. There's gonna be some teething issues. We got a newer setup here as well, so everything's advancing a certain bit. Blaine Bridges, speaking of advancing, has actually moved up into first place after the initial lap, so good on him. Richard James dropping down to second. Then Dale Shoemaker shifting up to third, so keeping that group a little competitive there. Now, I don't know what cars these guys are in necessarily, but I'll go ahead and look at it as best I can. Had obviously qualifying this morning. Everything pretty clean out there on the track, which was good to see. We are on the circuit. I think you mentioned at the top of this, Brian, that we are at the new track here at Buttonwillow. I guess, what are we, three races deep here for SCCA? This is our third one on this circuit. So drivers are slowly starting to learn it if they haven't already. There was practice yesterday. There was obviously back in February was runoffs. Was that what was out here? The Hoosier Super Tour.
The Hoosier Super Tour,
because you were doing that.
Yep.
So they've had some experience driving out here as well. So drivers are getting used to it. It's a very flowy track. It's a lot of feedback. I think the drivers like it a lot. If they're to be believed, I think the bigger problem is the spectators are a little down on it just because it's really hard to see what's going on. So we don't have a window facing the track, so we're operating entirely off mechanical means at the moment to see what's going on. So our turn cameras here, such as turn 8, that's what's providing us our view, and thus your view at home as well. So, you know, something that I'm sure will improve as time goes on. People will find good places to watch from what have you, but it is very exciting to see this track in action and to see everybody out here enjoying it. It really, I said this last time when I was out in January for race number 1, but it really does feel like it's infused a very positive energy into the general tenor of things here at Cal Club. So that's great indeed. But there you can see the packs splitting up a little bit, and we kind of would expect this to happen. This is usually what tends to occur. A couple of drivers a little bit faster than the others, and some gaps opening up here. No big shifts down the line in terms of position. It does look like maybe Philip Clark got up a spot, but he was towards the back of the pack. Robert Kelly also doing a little bit as well. Unfortunately for Tim Gregorio, he started off middle of the pack, if I remember correctly. He's dropped way back now into the back. But again, important to remember for SCCA races, or Cal Club races in particular. I don't know how it works in the rest of SCCA, so I shan't speak for it. But for Cal Club in particular, these guys are not racing necessarily against one another. They're racing within their class. We just are mixing classes together. So even though somebody may drop to the back of the race board, they may actually only be third in their class or second in their class. So it's important to keep that in mind as well. Sorry, I've been talking a lot, Brian, but I want to give you a chance to push buttons and fiddle, because you do the heavy lifting on the production, which I couldn't even. We were just talking about this earlier. I couldn't even begin to wrap my head around production, so that is not my passion.
That's all right. That's all right. No, and you are absolutely correct. The SCCA, for the most part, is multi-class racing, and in this particular race, you see all the different classes that we have racing here with us today, and they are out here together. So the car you're seeing right here coming through the line, that is Blaine Bridges. He is completing his third race lap here, at the end of this lap here. Then you've got Richard James. That is the red STU car there. And we will see these cars coming into our view at this moment. This is turn 9.
Yes, there are 3 STU cars. There's one GT2, one ITA, one SP, 2 STLs, 3 STUs, 1 T3, and 2 T4s. So a very mixed group across the board. There's really no dominance. This is going to be a little bit different from, say, our Miatas or our Spec Racers, where it'll all be dominated pretty much by one car. So a lot of variety out there as well, and you kind of like to see that. Your overall race leader, still Blaine Bridges. He is the lone ITE car out there on the track here today. So good for him.
Yeah, definitely. That is the case here. And we will keep you on top of the timing of this race as well.
You would think, Brian, after all the time that I've been out here working these things with you, that I would have a better understanding of what technically makes a car or what categories cars are in, but I never quite remember like what an ITE is.
Right.
In my defense, there are a lot of categories, and if you look at the SCA, there are 28 classes that complete in Cloud Club racing major events. So that's a lot.
Yeah, it is a ton of classes, and typically, so STL stands for ST under, or ST light, which is a little bit slower than STU, which is ST under. It doesn't make sense, but that's how it particularly works here. Typically, in the numbered classes, the lower the number, the faster the class. So T1 and GT1 are the fastest classes.
That makes sense.
T4, GT3, the slower classes. Same goes with any of the lettered classes. So E production would be faster than H production. ITA would be faster than ITB, etc., etc.
Okay.
ITE is one of those weird classes, though, because that's a catch-all class. And there's a lot of different things in there. That one is kind of hard to understand and explain, even for those of us who've been doing this for a very long time. So
there's always something like that. Let's be honest. There's always something a little arcane out there. So that's just how just how things work.
Grace will be given in this regard.
Thank you.
And as we come through here.
Yeah, it really is it cannot be overstated, actually, how much of a lovely day it is out here at Buttonwillow, just following 3 days. I was raining on the way here when I was coming over the mountains to get here, so I was a little bit worried we'd see something like that, but no, it is very nice out there. If anything, it's starting to heat up just in time for the racing, which will heat up that track a little bit as well, and I'm sure the drivers will appreciate that. Yeah, we've been a little bit fortunate here in these first couple of weekends. I don't think we've had kind of a ton of rain. We certainly have seen that, but the new track so far not really been tested in that regard. I personally, I know I said the drivers like it. I personally quite like this track as well. I think this track is quite fun. It lacks probably some of the what's the good term for it? Some of the versatility, perhaps, of the old track here, which has a name.
It's called the Classic.
The Classic, thank you.
Yes.
I knew it was a synonym, but it was the Classic track. It lacks some of the customization, but it is a fun track, and I've driven it now a couple of times, not competitively, and so I've got a good feel for it, and it feels fun. It's a hard one. The only thing we don't have is we don't have turn names, and I just don't know how that develops. I love things like that. I find that very interesting to see how people come up with nicknames for things like that. But there will be some, I'm sure.
I'm sure at some point there will be. Yep. So, I mean, this one, Lurdo Highway is paralleling
the Lurdo turn, I think, was one.
Or the Lurdo Straight, maybe
the Lurdo
even
Straight,
better.
there you go. That's one I think we can affirmatively start here. That's the Lurdo Straight, because it is right next to Lurdo. And if you guys are watching from home or wherever you're watching from, if you do see a car going the opposite direction, that's why. So don't freak out or anything. It's there. It's all good.
Well, so today you won't see that because I've got some different camera angles here.
Oh, okay.
So this is coming out of turn 8, way in the distance, coming straight at us down what we're affectionately, just the two of us. None of these names are official because I don't believe we get to make the official names. But this is a straight thing. And you can actually see the car right off to the right there. There you go.
There you go. Perfectly illustrated. Thank you, random car that passed by.
Yep.
Going back to the action here on the track, it's probably tight grouping out of this group one today. Quite like to see that, honestly, except for a little bit of split, and that's to be expected. But Blaine Bridges still holding your lead after 5 laps, going about 2:02 there on the last one. Richard Dames, Derek Ferretti following it out. Dale Schumacher was up there for a little bit. He's dropped back down to 5th. And Robert Kelly actually on the last lap slipped by him and put himself in 4th overall in this race. So a surprising amount of movement down there when they're coming kind of across the line. And this is one of the things last time I was out here in January that you and I were talking about a little bit, Brian, is it's still kind of in the air where the kind of the passing corners are and where people like to pass on this track. Because back on the Classic, there are, I'd say, well-defined areas where people like to make their moves. This track is forcing people, I think, to rethink that a little bit. But, you can see right there, that might be Blaine Bridges in the pack. And you can see the attempt at the pass right there on turn 6. But it's a tough one. That's a tough turn to try and slip underneath on. And we saw, again, in January, I hate to keep referring back to it, but that's my experience. We saw drivers trying to make the pass there, and it very rarely quite worked out the way they wanted it to.
Blaine Bridge is one of those club racing success stories. He met up with us at one of our track event days.
Oh, that's nice.
And got to know our track event steward. And now he's out racing wheel to wheel in this ITE car. And right behind him is Richard James. That car is a Spec MX-5 car that he's also racing in, I believe it's STL. I don't have the class names on my sheet at the moment. So...
new track record for the ITE by Blaine Bridges. Oh, track record. Genuinely, track record.
Yes.
That's quite exciting. 201.917 for Blaine Bridges. That's the track records for the IE class. So that's going to be a thing, actually. I should say track records. We're probably going to see that not infrequently in these early races as people get better at this and the shuffling starts and what have you. So, yeah, good job there to Blaine Bridges for working that out. Robert Kelly, by the way, snuck past Richard James there and now climbed up. And unfortunately for Dale Shoemaker, he dropped back another place. You see Joseph Yao got the better of him, managed to find that pass somewhere out on the track and get around him. So a little bit more shuffling there amongst the cars behind. It was a good move by Robert Kelly because he was a little deep there, and he managed to work his way up.
All right, we are at the halfway point at this particular moment, and you know what happens at the halfway point, right?
I do. It is time for the mid-race update brought to you by raceschool.com. Let's start at the top. Your overall race leader here is the number 9 car, Blaine Bridges, with his new track record for ITE, followed in second place by number 98, Robert Kelly. In third place, number 91, Richard James. Followed in fourth, Derek Ferretti. In fifth, Joseph Yao. In sixth, Dale Shoemaker. In seventh, Christina Etherington. In eighth, Lawrence Wong. In ninth, Philip Clark. In 10th, Tim Gregorio. And then in 11th, Edmund Lowe. That is your mid-race update brought to you by raceschool.com.
And that is how we do it here. Yeah, I think you were talking about, normal, what is being thought of as good passing zones here. And a couple of them have started to develop. One of them is right here at the end of the straight going into turn 7.
That makes sense.
This one has become a fairly popular spot here. And then the other spot where I've seen some moves being made here is when they come out of 8 here and head down towards turn 9. Turn 9 has been a place where people could pop out here, and we'll see that here in just a second.
It might honestly be fair to include turn 6 in there as well.
Yep.
We've seen a couple of... I don't know that it's a good one, but again, I'm also not a race car driver, so I can't really speak to it from experience. But it has been one where, like I said, we've seen people try and make things happen there. But yeah, Blaine Bridge is pretty commandingly in the lead right now, though I will say Robert Kelly picking up a lot of steam. He was actually 159 on the last lap, which is pretty dang fast compared to the rest of the cars in this category, so something to keep an eye on. I was going to say, when you mentioned Blaine Bridges got into this because of track events, should say that there is track events on today, and if you're interested in coming out here with your car and giving it a go around the circuit, you can do that with Cal Club. We do track events on a pretty regular basis. You get to drive around the track quite a few times. I think there's 3 or 4 of them today, track event sessions. So you get out there for like 20, 25 minutes and you can drive, within reason, obviously around the track. If you're interested in that, you can find more information on the Cal Club website. And it is definitely worth checking out if that's something you want to get into. And hey, you might like it as much as Blaine Bridges did and end up coming out here on a regular basis.
And this is our group 2 here, as we were talking about earlier. I don't know why I have next race up here, but I will fix that.
Yes, Spec Corvette should always be fun. They're loud.
Yes, they are.
I'm such a baby when it comes to noise. They're loud. You'll hear them. You hear them through the walls of our lovely commentator shed.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any Spec Corvettes here this weekend. I am not certain of that. Yeah, I don't see any Spec Corvettes on the list here. So,
well, let's hope that maybe we've got a different list. I don't know. I no doubt whatever it is going to be entertaining. So.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
It does look like a bit of an unfortunate circumstance here for famous Dale Shoemaker. There's some smoke coming off of the back of his car. Whether or not that's bad smoke or regular smoke or how much smoke, he's number 52 black. So if you see a black car go by smoking,
yep.
you know that that's him. Hopefully it's nothing too serious because he is out there. This was when he was coming through turn 6 not that long ago. So we'll see if he's all right, and hopefully no big issues there. But, you know, it happens. That's just the nature of racing.
Yeah, I would suggest that the only class where smoke isn't really a bad thing is Formula V.
Fair enough.
Where we see them doing their little
What if you got a James Bond car?
smoking on a regular basis here.
Was that a James Bond? That's got to be a smoke screen. He's got to have done that at least once. So, always wondered what the...
Yeah, there is
you can
famous
see it.
Dale.
Yeah. It's not black, but it's not good either. You don't like to see that. And it's probably going to necessitate him either being told to pit or having to pit here. And yeah, as you see him come down the straight, he's putting up a real cloud. That's no good.
Yeah, and he's also off the racing line, so I think he was probably figured out what's going on with his car.
Oh yeah, he slowed way down here on the turn, and that's a bummer. Hate to see it.
Well, hopefully he'll be able to get that taken care of in the hours between now and tomorrow's races, and he'll be able to get this thing back out here. He is one of those cars who is out here with us all the time.
Yeah, he's a stalwart and a very pleasant individual, by the way.
Yes.
He's very fun to talk to.
Absolutely. So,
yeah, I can't imagine that he's going to keep this up. He's going to have to come in. That's just, nature of the beast, I guess. Yeah, again, he's got time to fix it. He's the first race of the day, so that gives him and anybody else he's working with time to figure it out, and hopefully he'll be okay to race in this group tomorrow. Meanwhile, I should say Robert Kelly continuing to put up pulse-pounding times here. He's actually managed to get around Blaine Bridges and take the lead overall in the race. Richard James now sitting in third, Derek Ferretti sitting in fourth, and unfortunately Dale is dropping back as would be expected with a little bit more cautious driving. But yeah, Robert Kelly with now a 4.8 second lead, so he really barnstormed it on the last couple of rounds there, really went fast. Now we're almost about 20 seconds into the or 20 minutes into the race, so hopefully not seconds, to be going awful fast, but we're 20 minutes into the race, so we probably don't have too many more laps here left before these drivers pull in. It does look like 52 Black is coming in for a pit stop, so that probably is the end of the race for Dale Shoemaker. Upside, Dale does count as completing. He's done more than half, so there is an upside there for him. So if you felt bad for him, don't worry, he's okay. And I think he was maybe the only car. I have to go double check. He might have been the only car in his category, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely not what you want to have. He's the third STU, so he still gets the third place finish. Not bad, and hopefully nothing too wrong with the car there. Back to turn 8 we go.
Yeah. Trying to get the number on this Porsche out front. I believe that's Robert Kelly in the 98 car. And I think what has happened is he is registered in the 88 car, which is a Dodge Viper. So my suspicion is that he is not in the... Well, I know he's not in the Viper because that's a Porsche. So, not exactly sure how the switch happened.
Is it Porsche or Porsche?
It's Porsche.
Oh, okay.
If you use the YouTube,
Yeah.
like the kids do,
Like the kids do.
you'll
Never go there, don't I?
Porsche put out a video.
Oh, does it say Porsche?
Explaining people how to say Porsche.
I like that, actually. That's real funny.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, so, that's great. Ooh, I don't know about the sound of that, but okay. Good to know.
All right, so that was the 9 car of the 09 car, Blaine Bridges, who's come in and gone behind the wall. Not exactly sure.
Oh man, that's unfortunate because he was the race leader for a long time there, but now he's done and dusted.
So there you see Robert Kelly car coming through 6, and there's also I know which camera I'm missing a camera, and I know which camera I'm missing now. and made everybody at home dizzy. Had really cool camera between sessions. So sometimes the first race of the weekend is a little rocky because we got very limited access to the racetrack.
It's bound to happen. Yeah, it's
so
bound to happen.
We have to run out and put our cameras up and run back.
You do genuinely, yeah. You scramble out there and put those cameras up, and I don't.
And the good news
Yeah.
is this year we have 10 cameras.
Yeah, we do.
The bad news is it takes more time to put up 10 cameras than it does to put up 5. So I was a little behind the 8 ball here as I try to do that. And I have to maybe plan a little bit better to put some cameras out earlier.
Yeah, fair
to be
enough.
able to get them all up and running here for us. But anyway, all good.
Yeah, just it definitely enhances the viewing experience, so we like to see it and gives a good idea of kind of what's going on the track. I mean, we were able to follow Dale around there quite well, so that was good stuff. Our digs here, our setup is very different from over on the classic track. We don't have elevation, we don't have a big window in front of us, so like I was saying at the start of this broadcast, we are kind of relegated almost entirely to following these camera feeds along with you viewers. So it's a bit of a change here for us, or for me as well, to just monitor races this way. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's just, there's no real visual confirmation to be done. We can see people coming into the pit lane and we can see people coming behind the wall, so we do have that information, which is good. We can confirm, but we can't necessarily see who's scrambling around out there on the track and why.
So there is your leader, Robert Kelly. Next time by the start-finish line, he will get the white flag. So he has got about 3.5 miles left in this race for him. Here he comes through turn 7. See him way off on the left there coming into our view. That is the exit of 7 you see way out there into turn 8 here. And then one more time past start finish, and then we will get the checkered flag next time by. This will be the white flag lap coming up. He has got a commanding 21-second lead over the second place car. Again, not in the same class. So that's not what they're racing each other for. The second place car is Richard James. He is in the STL Miata. You'll see out there the white flag is being waved way off there. That is our start stand off to the right there, right between that car and the big building. Here he comes. We'll sit here for a second, see if they can't pick up that second place car. 21 seconds back, so a good bit behind. There they are. And those are the 3 cars there, James Ferretti and Joseph Yao. Ferretti is in the Honda Civic, an SP Honda Civic. And then Yao is in, I don't actually have him on my entry list, so I don't know what he's driving at the moment.
The mystery car.
That's right. That is right. So, the one thing this track has, it feels like more than the classic track, is elevation. Classic track has one hill up and one hill down, Phil Hill. This seems to be a little more over hill, over dale here. As they come out.
Hopefully not over Dale. Yeah, I can see it behind the pit walls. So.
One other thing to note, if you look in this camera in particular, you've got a lot of standing.
Proud of myself.
Yeah, I was good. Yeah, I was going to see if I could just let that one go. But anyway, you can see a lot of standing water here. We have had lots of rain over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And right near the track surface, it is fairly dry. Although it can be problematic, if anybody wants to come and look at my shoes from putting the cameras out, there is quite a bit of mud out there. But here comes your race leader coming to the checkered flag here for the end of the first race of the day. And here he comes. He'll come around turn 10. And checkered flag is in the air.
There you have it. That'll be Robert Kelly coming across the line. We can go ahead, I think, and give a full field rundown here.
I think we can do that.
The unofficial results brought to you by RaceSchool.com here on the Racing Network, starting with your overall race leader, number 98, Robert Kelly. In second place, number 91, Richard James. In third, number 22, Derek Ferretti. In fourth, number 28, Joseph Yao. In fifth, number 96, Christina Etherington. In sixth, number 33, Philip Clark. In seventh, number 93, Edmund Lowe. In eighth, number 23, Lawrence Huang. In ninth, number 8, Tim Gregorio. So close to matching those numbers. Followed by, of course, in 10th, number 9, Blaine Bridges. Again, so close. And then 11th, number 52, Famous Dale Shoemaker. And that rounds out Group 2 here on this race day at Buttonwillow. That is your RaceSchool.com unofficial results.
All right, up next here for us is going to be Spec Racer 4-3, Formula F, Formula V, and Formula FTS. We will do that next. Stay with us, everybody. You're watching the races from the circuit at Buttonwillow on the Racing Network. Welcome back to Buttonwillow Raceway Park, the circuit at Buttonwillow. I'm Brian Belansky. Tristan Parker here is with me. I hesitated to start because I was like, Tristan. Yes, it's Tristan is here who's with me this time. Last week in Atlanta, my best Betty Tristan Smith came in third place twice, 2 podium finishes.
Good for Tristan.
So that was my hesitation earlier. So
okay.
Anyway, we're back here live here. Spec Racer Ford 3, Formula V, Formula F, Formula FTS, and here we go.
Yes, when I was in grad school, I had a professor who was French who would always say Tristan. It's the nicest way my name has ever been said. But anyway, here is your race lineup for this group, and it's a big one here today. In 20th, number 74, Mark Edwards. In 19th, number 63, Gary Nesevich. In 18th, number 71, Douglas Stewart. In 17th, number 69, Denny Fostick. In 16th, number 9, Brian Schubert. In 15th, number 111, Jeremy Rudder. In 14th, number 55, Jay Rosenthal. In 13th, number 22, Robert Emerson. In 12th, number 14th, Paul Marino. In 11th, number 1, Mike Miserantino. In 10th, number 23, Kenan Marshall. In 9th, number 47, Sophie Slowick. In 8th, number 89, Wayne Smith. In 7th, number 135, Johnny Crean. 6th is number 98, Cody Hayhurst. In 5th, number 48, Eric Polson. 4th, number 28, Andy Patterson. 3rd, number 5, Eric Little. 2nd, number 11, Denny Renfro. And your overall race leader at the start, number 27, Stuart Patterson.
All right, there you go. And as we got our start for this race, Spec Racer Ford 3, and that is your Formula Ford and Formula V field, I believe. The Formula V might be at the end in a third little group off by himself here. We should see our second group now. Let's see here, coming. Yeah, they're coming right through here, and they should be coming into our viewpoint here. Spec Racer Ford will be the second group here to take their start. So you are right on the split start.
I thought we might be seeing a split start there just because the group is so big. Yes. There are the Spec Racer Fords coming down the line. They got their start as well. I believe green flag is out for them. And there they come into the corner all bunched up, and that's to be expected. And, of course, yes, that lone Formula V just tagging along behind.
That is Mark Edwards.
A very distinctive Mark Edwards, 1972, 1982 glam dream out and about. I think the only Formula V we have here today. Sometimes we get a couple, but it looks like we just have him. But yes, both these groups actually relatively competitive, the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords. Spec Racer Fords, a lot of them operate out of the same garage, so they tend to play very competitively with one another. They're all good friends, obviously, or they get along well enough, but they are very competitive when it comes to racing. So expect that. You expect them to go all out here. And the same, I think, can be said of the Formula Ford, but you can already see there on the setup that they're kind of falling into place. And a big lead, though, in that initial car in the white and red. I'm not sure who that is, but we'll get a look at him next time we got a clear shot, and we can give you a better idea. Well, look at that. Is that a little bit of heat haze out there on the track, if you'd believe it?
Yeah. Or it could be digital artifact.
I thought heat haze sounded cooler, though.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah, I think that is what it is that we're seeing out there right now. But, yeah, it's definitely heating up. So that's both good and bad, I guess, depending on where you stand. I don't know. It's definitely hotter for the drivers in the car. Don't really know how it affects necessarily the nature of the race, though.
Yeah, this is temperatures that are not going to really affect anything good or bad. These are actually probably pretty strong temperatures, good temperatures for the motors to make good power. It's not terribly hot today. So,
true.
You've got that going on, so.
Yeah, it's a lovely, I said in our first race today, it's a lovely day out here in Buttonwillow. Genuinely just nice. So
it's about as perfect as you're ever going to get.
It really is. And, you know, when I must say, I don't spend a lot of time in the Central Valley, but man, when when it hits, when it's on that right, Steinbeckian good old day, it's lovely out here. But who is this that's in the lead in a white car? And I just can't quite make out the
Mike
number.
Miserandino.
Mike Miserandino. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That was who I was gonna say, but I didn't want to mess it up. And you see there's a lot of white cars on the track here today, actually. So making us do our work. That distinctive yellow car, that's number 9, Brian Schubert right there in the race today. So Mike Miserandino is your overall leader for the Spec Racer Fords, followed by Paul Marino, followed by Robert Edmondson, Jeremy Rutter, Jay Rosenthal, and then Brian Schubert. So there's your kind of initial grouping there. Formula Ford seem to have maybe spread out just a little bit, but you can see that Mike Miserandino has a very commanding lead. Then there's kind of the rest of that pack, and then there's Brian Schubert there chasing. And then further behind is going to be, I want to say, maybe Douglas Stewart or Jenny Fostick bringing up the backside of that grouping. So work to be done for Brian Schubert if he wants to catch up with that group of 4, and then work for the group of 4 to catch up with Mike Miserandino, who admittedly, that's a pretty commanding lead Mr. Miserandino is putting up out there.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good lead. Of course, Miserandino is a multiple national champion in Spec Racer Ford.
Knows what he's doing.
He definitely knows how to get around this racetrack here. I am going to try to find our Formula Ford group here. See if I can. There they are, going to be coming up into 6 here. So right up at top here, there's Denny Renfro in the Bumblebee car coming through our screen right now. Right behind him is Stuart Patterson. And then the purple car on our screen right now, I say purple, you can't see it, but Kenan Marshall has just turned the fast lap of the day here, 151.308. So,
well, there you go.
Here comes our Formula Ford group here. I always tell people, make your car very distinctive if you want us to talk about it. And Denny Renfro has done that. He's got that red, yellow and black striped car. I call it the Bumblebee car.
Yeah, that does help.
It is, and it's actually a beautiful. If you're ever out here at the racetrack, stop by and see that 11 car. It is really, really sharp looking car. So.
Liveries are fun. It's one of the things that I enjoy about racing. Is it's always interesting to see how people choose to represent themselves.
Absolutely. So,
Denny Renfro is your current, the current Formula Ford FTS leader. He's the only, there's 2 Formula Fords and then 2 FFSTs out there today. In the Spec Racer Series, obviously, Mike Miserandino, he's commanding lead. Robert Edmondson is slightly behind. By the way, I should say, speaking of Denny Renfro, just within the last minute where he crossed the line there, he set the new track record, 150.7 for a Formula Ford TS. The funny thing is, he took that away from Kenan Marshall, who had just set
it, right.
the fastest track record. So this is what I was saying last race. Because this track is new and because drivers are still figuring it out, all those records are pretty much fair play here today. So we've seen one already for ITE. Now we've seen another one for Formula Ford TS. So it's anybody's ball game out here if you want to come out and try and steal a record on the new Buttonwillow circuit track.
This is the exit of turn 6. So they're coming through the hairpin and then down the hill. Cool camera angle there.
That elevation too. You were talking about this a little bit earlier. This track does actually.
You can actually see it there.
See it, yeah.
And then when you go to the turn 7 camera, the way out there is where we were just at. So you can see that hill as they come down here towards. This is the turn 7 area here.
Yeah, definitely posing some interesting challenges there with the handling of the verticality and the kind of changes in altitude. I mean, we're not talking necessarily significant ups and downs, but if you do get a chance to ever drive this track, you will notice it almost immediately. And the track is always faster than you think it is. That's the other thing, too. You never quite realize just how fast it is. A little bit of smoke kicked up right there or something. That was odd.
Yeah, that, I believe, is Mark Edwards in the Formula V, which should be smoking, believe it or not. That is a characteristic of. Well, see what happens with these cars. The way you make a Formula V go fast is see right there. That is actually the way it's supposed to be.
Shoveling coal.
It is. It's not. What it is they run the ring so loose that a little bit of oil comes through every time you pop off the gas.
All right,
and it looks weird, and if you've never been around the track, you'll go, "My God, that car's smoking," and it's not. So
funny. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, we should also mention Mark Edwards at our annual banquet received the Lifetime Achievement Award for Cal Club. So very big honor, one of the biggest honors that the club bestows. And
deserving.
He absolutely.
Oh, I'm so disappointed I wasn't there for that. I missed that. That's all right though.
So, and I will say that the wives also kind of co-receive those awards, because none of us would be out here, at least those of us who are married, without the support of our other halves, especially.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Especially if you're out here long enough to win a Lifetime Achievement Award, and you're married to the same woman for all of that time.
I think his wife comes out with him most of the time.
She does. Yeah, she's the crew member.
Yeah, she's a crew member. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's funny when you think about it that way. Yeah, no, it's a very valid point you're making right there. But anyway. We're back now looking to see if there's been any changes here in our groups. Everything's staying about the same. I lied. Kid and Marshall made a pass at the start line to get around Stuart Patterson and move up. Now, Kid and Marshall has actually been going really, really fast in his car.
And he is about to try to make a pass, by the way.
He's going to go again. Why not? Why not try and get
Denny for the lead here?
Yeah, why not try and get Denny Renfro? The gap between them was literally 0.008 of a second when they came across the line.
And there they are right there.
Denny Renfro fighting for his life.
Yeah, it looks like Renfro's right there in front, but Marshall ready to pounce whenever he can. So that is what's going on here.
And lovely, we'll just keep an eye on it here, and we'll see if Denny Renfro can dance his way out of this one. That creamsicle car there chasing the Bumblebee as they go around. That is good. That's putting some heat on. I like to see that. Let's go. See, there's that turn 6 that I'm talking about. You saw it right there. People want to try and pass on that turn, but they just can't seem to always make it stick. You saw Ken and Marshall try and come in underneath Denny Renfro on the turn 6. It just doesn't work. It doesn't lend itself well. He's going to try and cut in underneath again on turn 7. And you've got to think here at some point, he's going to find a way. Denny Renfro doing a spectacular job there of kind of just anticipating, I think, where these turns are going to, or where these potential passes are going to come in. That's interesting, though, because on turn 8, Marshall doesn't try anything at all. He just sticks to the line, so he must not feel super comfortable with that as a passing turn.
Yeah.
I bet he tries again at 6 on the next lap if he doesn't make the pass somewhere here, because this is about where he took, I think, Stuart Patterson to the cleaners, was somewhere coming into this stretch.
Well, we will know more in just a second. That's one of our slower cars in Spec Racer Ford there. And then here comes this battle for the lead in Formula F. And right now, up front, it is still still Renfro.
He was looking for it. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, viewers, but you saw him go wide out to the side right there. He was looking to see if he could just blast past, and he just didn't have enough runway on that one. But here he comes down and through into turn 2, trying to use that hill to his advantage. They are side by side there, and again, he can't quite make it work. Denny Renfro just finds the oomph to push past him coming down the downhill. This is quite a little fight. Now, Denny Renfro actually might have widened that gap. I don't know about how much.
A little bit, yeah.
But he does look like he put a little bit of distance between the two of them right there as they come towards turn number 5.
Here they come.
Oh, that's close. That's close. We'll see. Turn 6 is going to be the confirmation. I almost
looks like Patterson was able to shut the door here and keep the lead.
Again, Renfro's looking for that spot. Now, what's even more kind of, I think, entertaining is that Patterson is actually just creeping up this entire time. We've been so focused on the front, too. We kind of almost missed Patterson just inching closer and closer and closer, just looking for his opportunity. I mean, I got to give credit to Denny Renfro here, because this hasn't just all been him kind of just going fast and being chased. He's been definitely predictive of these lines and kind of moving in ways to shut this down. Oh, I was worried he was going to take that too wide right there, but I just don't think Marshall can get any more on that turn. Still going, though. I mean, we're not even, I think, halfway through this race, so this is very much still still up in the air, still in the ball game. Unfortunately, it does look like 22 Black has had to drop out. But yeah, we are, speaking of halfway through the race, we are halfway through the race. So let's go ahead and do your mid-race update. We'll take a little break here. We'll do a mid-race update from raceschool.com here on your racing network. We have in 20th, number 22, Robert Emerson. He actually is out of the race for the moment. He's one of the most prolific spec racer Ford drivers. So a bit of a shame to see him drop. In 19th, number 74, Mark Edwards. In 18th, number 63, Gary Nesevich. In 17th, number 69, Denny Fostick. In 16th, number 16, Mike Moshe. In 15th, number 71, Douglas Stewart. In 14th, number 9, Brian Schubert. In 13th, number 55, Jay Rosenthal. In 12th, number 111, Jeremy Rudder. In 11th, number 14, Paul Marino. In 10th, number 89, Wayne Smith. In 9th, number 1, Mike Miserandino, your overall spec racer Ford leader. In 8th, number 135, Johnny Crean. In 7th, number 98, Cody Hayhurst. In 6th, number 48, Eric Polson. In 5th, number 28, Andy Patterson. In 4th, number 5, Eric Little. In 3rd, number 27, Stuart Patterson. In 2nd, number 23, Kenan Marshall. And then your overall race leader in the leader in the FFTS category, that is number 11, Denny Renfro. And that is your mid-race update brought to you by the raceschool.com.
All right. This is Spec Racer Ford 3, Formula V, Formula F here, racing at the circuit at Buttonwillow. He's Tristan Parker. I'm Brian Belansky, and we are bringing you our races today and tomorrow. 5 today, 5 tomorrow.
Here on the Racing Network.
On the Racing Network. Yeah.
Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to drop a like or subscribe or a follow. I hate to sound like a kid pushing Fortnite, but it does help Brian a lot to get people subscribing and following this channel. And Brian puts out a lot of very good content because he not only covers these races, he covers other races as well, and he has a very successful podcast, the Inside the SCCA podcast, which covers the entirety of the SCCA with a wide variety of guests who talk on all sorts of subject matters related to the SCCA and racing in general. It's not something you want to miss. Are you rolling out any other podcasts in the near future there, Brian? I thought you mentioned one earlier today, but maybe that's still in development, but we'll see.
Yeah, we are not.
No, you're not. Okay.
We may throw out there and do something with vintage racing here.
Vintage racing, okay.
I know we're going to start doing some live vintage racing.
That's fun.
For the Vintage Auto Racing Association out here in California. So that event's actually coming up in 2 weeks out at Willow Springs. So that should be exciting. So we're looking forward to that as well.
Oh, cool. Good. Glad to hear it. I'll be looking forward to hearing that, too. I'll come up with a podcast. I'll pitch you. We'll do that at a later date. But for now, back to the race here. We'll see how things are developing on the track. Denny Renfro, still your overall leader, holding on 0.3 of a second last time they came across the line. Deeper into the pack, Eric Polson and Andy Patterson going up past Eric Little. And then watching down here as Brian Schubert manages to get around number 89, Wayne Smith. Wayne Smith dropping back in those spec racer category, so I'm not sure exactly what happened to his car, but Brian Schubert will move up. That puts him in 5th overall. Jay Rosenthal holding on to the 4th spot. Jeremy Rudder locked in there behind Paul Marino, and then the big lead coming out of Mike Miserandino, still the leader in the spec racer Ford, so to be respected. And again, Kenan Marshall and Denny Renfro, they are fighting as hard as they possibly can for that first spot. The difference between them now is 0.03 of a second. So really, those two going at it for a while now with no real break in favor of Kenan Marshall. Denny Renfro doing a good job of staying calm, staying under the gun, and holding off his opponent right there. Stuart Patterson still kind of in that mix as well. He's about 0.4 of a second behind. He's a few seconds behind, I should say, Kenan Marshall. So that's another one to keep an eye on there as well. That whole group of 3 in the Formula Ford category, certainly doing some interesting racing out there. You can see here too. This is a more kind of the spec racers, a little bit more spread out. Now I think that might be you're seeing Mike Moshe coming through there and a couple other guys, and then here's that group of leaders. And man, you can see Kenan Marshall just angling constantly for some sort of opening here. He's every time we've seen them come up to turn 6, he has looked to try and get into the inside of Denny Renfro, and every time Denny Renfro has basically just been there with the car, or at least with his wheels, to prevent that. So that is frustrating probably for Kenan Marshall, but it's a good effort from Denny Renfro right there, and I'll be curious to see if Kenan Marshall will ever get that pass. I just don't think turn 6 is going to be it. That's the thing. I think if he's going to get it, he's going to have to pick it up somewhere else. So this is, again, the backside of the Spec Racer Fords coming through. And just watch carefully here. You can see those cars approaching down the straight here in the distance. That's back to the Formula Ford leaders.
Yeah, and you should...
Or no, it might be Formula Fords lapping other Formula Fords. I'm not entirely sure. There's the Formula V. Okay, no, here's the back of the Spec Racer Fords. I'm sorry for confusing everyone.
There it is right there.
Oh, no. This is unfortunate, though, because this means that Denny Renfro is going to have to get by some traffic
here. Oh, and
here.
look at that.
Yeah.
Slower Spec Racer Ford right in the middle of the mix.
I was just going to say, that's just cheeky. You saw him split it basically around the outside of it. And you saw, too, I think Denny Renfro tried to make a move in that mix as well. And it's just, oops. That was unfortunate. Good use of another car as a blocker, though. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't know if the Spec Racer Ford necessarily appreciates it, but we can appreciate it from a distance.
From a distance. I'm sorry.
Look at that jumble. What a mess of cars right there.
Yeah, and Stuart Patterson's now all up in the grill of both Renfro and Marshall. And Patterson's trying to make a move to go into second place there.
Oh, he is. Now a little bit of taste of the old medicine for Marshall, trying to hold him off. And now they've fallen back into their set pattern of 3. Now, this is where it gets good for Denny Renfro, because now it becomes an issue for Marshall. Has to be looking 2 ways at once. Usually you can only look 1 way at once, so he's going to have that cut out for him right here. Maybe take some of the pressure off that lead car. We'll see.
Yeah, still Patterson, Marshall, Renfro, no changes.
Yeah, Marshall did not take that line well, actually. He really wobbled there coming through, so I don't know if he's putting too much speed into it or if he's not quite hitting the mark that he wants to, but that'll cost him a point something of a second, which is what we're talking about here is a razor's edge in terms of who's leading and who's not. Coming into the straightaway again, it's a muddled pack, and that maybe was it. I'm getting a little confused with traffic now about who's where and who's what. So, nope, still established order. First 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, the battle in Spec Racer Ford is much wider than this. That's why we're kind of keeping with this battle at the moment.
There isn't really much of a battle in Spec Racer Ford, to be honest. I mean, all credit to Mike Miserandino, but he sort of blew past everyone there at the start. And, I mean, as we would expect him to. And he's just sort of sitting now in the lead. So unless he makes some sort of mistake or puts a wheel out of alignment, that's just not happening.
Kenan Marshall is using every tool in his toolbox to try to get around Denny Renfro.
He really is putting in a shift.
Yeah, looking on the outside. There he is on the
inside.
Oh, a spin. No. There is a spin by Renfro.
No, that was the worst thing that could have happened. Oh,
and there is the benefactor of that. It is Kenan Marshall now in first place overall and first place in Formula F.
Oh, that's heartbreak for Renfro right there.
Let's go back, and he is still trying to get turned around.
Oh, he had all that traffic, too, because they were just ahead of the Spec Racer category.
He doesn't want to get off the racetrack there. And the turning radius on these cars is not the widest in the world. He's trying so many ways. All right, I don't want to see it anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's just stressing me out. It looked like he might have had a bum wheel at the front. I couldn't really tell. We'll see if he picks it back up. I might have just been the nature of the camera that it looked like it, but I almost felt like that front tire, something was up with it. But, that was the worst possible outcome there for Denny Renfro, who admittedly had done such a spectacular job lap after lap after lap of keeping the orange car off his back, and then he just that turn 6, it's a doozy. I think it's going to end up being one of the harder turns on this track, and it's just clearly demonstrated right there. And now it really is Kenan Marshall's race to run. Gosh, and with not a lot of time left in the race too. That happened at about 21 minutes in.
Yep.
Bummer.
It sounds as though the Renfro car is dead in the water there at turn 6. I think we're going to see it here.
Yeah. He's done.
He is there. So they're going to get the white flag this time by. That's probably not early. I think it's about where it needs to be. And the Renfro car there, now I think it's just high-sided. I think that the bottom is caught on the racetrack. And just trying to get that thing turned around. And some of that dirt there is still pretty wet and damp. So it's not surprising that he's having some issues there. So here comes your race leaders here, I believe. Yeah, no, the race leaders are probably... Yep. There is... Wow, now, is that Patterson slowing down also?
Could be. It's hard to tell, but it could be.
Yep, that's Patterson slowing down. He's going to get passed right now by Andy Patterson and Eric Poulsen as they come into turn 9. So now your first and third place car having issues.
Kenan Marshall lucking out there.
Kenan Marshall, white flag is in the air for him. There he is as he goes through turn 1 for the for the last time here.
Unopposed. Coming in through, so that's just unfortunate. Yeah, it does look like that Denny Renfro car is in some distress. They're trying to get a tow out there, but
yeah,
might just be the way the race finishes up. And yeah, so if you're sitting in the position of Kenan Marshall now, all you have to do is not mess up.
Exactly. Just keep your car between the white lines.
See Stuart Patterson entering behind the wall right now. Yeah. He's heading to tech, so he's done. Wild conclusion to all of that. That was laps and laps of them doing that. That was a good 15 minutes of them battling. And then Denny Renfro just don't quite know what happens. I mean, we saw it. We don't have instant replay, but...
Oh, look at that's a classy move. That is Denny
Renfro
coming out to. I don't know that the stewards will love that he did that.
No, probably not.
Because we're still under racing conditions here. That's a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah, that's not our job.
I'll be on the PA in about 2 minutes. Mr. Renfro, please go see the race director.
We'll just edit that out of the footage. But yeah, no, that was a classy move there.
Absolutely.
You love to see it. Very illustrative of what we aspire to here at the SCCA with the very positive racing environment. And so... you do like to see that.
And here is your race leader for the final time here on the Saturday race through turn 8. Now coming right at us into turn 9.
And Kenan Marshall, by the way, did set a new track record for the FFTS category as well at 149.185.
Checkered flag should go in the air here just any moment. There he is way off in the distance. Checkered flag is in the air. Your race winner is Kenan Marshall.
You love to see it. Great race from Kenan Marshall across the board. Really was, as you said, using every tool in his book to try and get past his competitors there. And it didn't, I think, probably work out quite the way he would have wanted to either. Certainly not the way Denny Renfro wanted, but that is that. So let's go ahead and do our unofficial results brought to you by raceschool.com. And we'll start off with your overall race winner, number 23, Kenan Marshall, followed by number 5, Eric Little. Hello. He ended up there. Number 28, Andy Patterson. In 4th, number 48, Eric Poulsen. Number 9th, 98, Cody Hayhurst. In 6th, your overall winner for the Spec Racer Fords category, that's number 1, Mike Miserandino. Hey, he's number 1 for a reason.
There you go.
In 7th, number 135, Johnny Crean. In 8th, number 14, Paul Marino. In 9th, number 111, Jeremy Rudder. In 10th, number 55, Jay Rosenthal. In 11th, number 9, Brian Schubert. In 12th, Mike Moshe. 13th, Denny Fostick. 14th, Douglas Stewart. 15th, Wayne Smith. 16th, Stuart Patterson. 17th, Gary Nesevich. Followed by Denny Renfro, Mark Edwards, Robert Edmondson. Your three, they unfortunately did not finish, but they, at least Mark Edwards and Denny Renfro, they did complete the race. And those are your unofficial race results here from the raceschool.com on the Racing Network.
Coming up next, our touring car class, T-Seed, is next. This is an interesting group. We've got a lot of these cars out here today. We'll talk about them next. Stay with us. You're watching the Cal Club races from the circuit at Buttonwillow on the Racing Network. Welcome back to the circuit at Buttonwillow Cow Club races here. I'm Brian Belansky, and we are here for our fourth race of the day, or Group 4 anyway. We are getting out there. This is the TC class. These are a lot of, I believe it's the World Challenge Touring Car group is where these cars come from. And here is our starting lineup.
Indeed. All right, starting at the back here, in ninth, number 56, Stephen Ellis, followed by number 97, Adam Bow. In seventh is number 40, Brian Zimmerman. In sixth, number 19, Christopher Rosales. In fifth, number 24, Abdul Osmani. In fourth, number 072, Joseph McGann. I'm sorry, I don't know that one.
I don't know either.
Yeah, McGugan?
Let's go with McGugan.
McGugan, okay.
And I'll try to find out.
Third place, number 88, Tony Rodriguez. Yeah, we'll try and change that for tomorrow. Second place, number 94, Jonathan Lugut. And in first, number 46, Oscar Jackson. And that is your starting grid, brought to you by RaceSchool.com.
Oscar Jackson is part of the famed Jackson Racing family, and I know he is the proponent of this group. Jackson Racing, if you're a Honda guy, is one of the suppliers of almost, a ton of Honda Go Fast parts. People all around the country buy stuff from Jackson Racing, and they have had the Jackson family has had some significant success in the pro ranks. So yeah, and Oscar apparently is kind of the kingpin of this class here. So.
Not even gonna lie, you got me so good when you said the famous Jackson Jackson family. I was like, really?
Not the famous Michael Jackson family.
I didn't know one of them was called Oscar. I haven't been paying attention. Oh, you got me so good. But definitely a rep. Obviously, Oscar Jackson knows what's up, and yeah, TCs are a fun little class. With 9 cars in, I don't think it's going to be the most intense race ever, but you never quite know how things shape up. But it'll definitely be fun to watch them go around and do their thing, and always cool to see, what did I say earlier? There are 28 classes here in SCCA, and it's fun to see every class kind of out there and see what those cars can do. We'll wait and see. Hopefully we'll get a green flag soon, and we'll get going here.
What the heck did I do here?
And there you go. Coming down the straightaway, looking for the green here, and I believe everything should be in order.
Green flag is in the air.
There you go. And they are off to the races here, as are we. Another fine race today here at Buttonwillow. Almost clear blue sky now. It's completely cloud-free. Looking lovely day out here in general for all our races. We have, I believe, one more to go after this? Two more to go after this race here today. 25-minute races, or whenever they choose to finish, I guess, in terms of laps. But 25 has been the timing here today. Tomorrow we'll be bumping that up to 18 laps or 30 minutes, but just 25 today. Some good races, some competitive stuff. Our last Group 3 was very competitive. This one hopefully going to prove as interesting as well. Yeah. It's been a fun day so far. I think everybody's been enjoying just a lovely day out here at the new track, the circuit. Oh, you're catching some
a little bit of wind going on there.
Draft, yeah, bouncing around just a little bit.
Buffeting coming off the cars, or if that's actual wind.
Could be both. It's a little hard for us to tell from where we're sitting.
Right.
If it's windy out there. I was just outside. It didn't seem particularly windy. It just seemed pretty calm. But it could honestly just be the cars. They are obviously a fast category, so we'd hope to see them kind of put some speed on here. Turn 7. Been one of our more interesting turns, that long straightaway coming down into that turn, and then you immediately kind of into turn 8 here, which is a hairpin. Is being a challenging stretch of road there for a lot of our drivers. Obviously, we've talked about it before, but the circuit relatively new as racetracks go. A big change from the classic, just in terms of not only being a new track, but driving in a very different way. They are not particularly similar I would say, in terms of how they work as tracks. So that's something interesting to keep in mind here for all of our races today. Oscar Jackson out with that lead, will maintain it, but about 0.4 of a second behind him. Jonathan Lugod not giving him a lot of room to breathe. Tony Rodriguez not far behind him either. So that top three looking pretty tight. In fact, the top five, all the way down to about Abdul Osmani, is only about a second between him and the fourth place of Joe McGugan. So they are pretty tight there as a group, and you'll see that coming in through turn two. That top five is all competitive here at the start.
Yeah, so these are former pro racing cars from the World Challenge Series, and if they're well prepped, and I would guess Jackson Racing's probably prepping most of these cars, and they do a great job. So right now it's down to driver talent here, and that is, I think, what's separating the top five by the rest here is that they have all figured out how to make these TC cars go fast.
Yeah, they certainly have. It's a very distinctive car there from Oscar Jackson as well. I appreciate that bright yellow. It makes it easy to follow.
Absolutely correct.
What is it? Did you have a scheme, Brian? What colors did you? Did you have a colors on your car or no?
My color is yellow, and
You use yellow as well.
Every car I've done, and it's not because I want them to be on TV. Although, as I like to tell people, is if you want your announcers to talk about your cars, make them yellow.
It helps.
We can pick
Yellow
those
and
out from
yellow and red.
a long ways away. But no, yellow just happened to be my favorite color. Has been for a long, long time. So.
Can I insert a tangential fact here?
You may.
Mind it all completely. Yellow is also a shark color. Sharks love the color yellow.
Really?
Scientifically, for some reason, yellow is a color that shows up on their visual spectrum, which is why a lot of life jackets have now been made orange.
Wow.
Because in World War II, the life jacket standard color for the U.S. Navy was yellow, which resulted in when sailors went overboard, sharks could see that.
Yeah.
So shark scientists refer to it as yum yum yellow.
Well, that may explain why when I'm out on the racetrack, I get eaten alive by all of the cars around me.
There's the tie back, ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen. That's what you come to the Racing Network for.
You set me up, you put the ball on the tee, and I hit it way down the fairway.
Absolutely love
Thank
it.
you very much for that.
Oh, you're more than welcome. So Oscar Jackson, though, in that distinctive yellow car, he's well ahead right now. Jonathan Luke got about 0.6 of a second behind. I mean, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see how it develops. It's one of those things where Oscar Jackson probably, I would say, I would be surprised if, just knowing the pedigree, obviously doesn't probably have the best car out there. That isn't always the determining factor, right?
Sure.
Obviously, personal skill matters, but I would assume also based on the pedigree that Oscar Jackson knows what he's doing.
Right,
so you got to give him a little bit of credit there. I'm trying to think, last time I was out here in January, was TC its own group? I actually don't remember. I don't think it was. I think they were folded in with somebody else.
Yeah, they may have been, but they've got one of the larger groups with 9 cars out there.
Yeah, I don't think I remember seeing them all run together like this. So
Yeah.
it's quite fun to see them all out here. But yeah, it's always good to see what kind of these cars, when they're tuned up, what they can do and what people know, or people who know how to handle them can do, is I think also another very fun aspect of a category like this, where that top five, they're working hard to make sure those cars are good. McGugan, by the way, is sort of falling behind, so that top five is slowly turning into a top three. He's not quite behind. He's not quite where he was on Rodriguez. He's dropped back to almost a second gap, so that's something to keep an eye on there as well. And you're going to hear them going past our broadcasting booth here, and they are just tearing around that track. Still, though, Oscar Jackson pretty much the definitive leader of this group. I don't know. It's going to be hard pressed to catch up with Oscar Jackson, all things considered.
Yeah. There's a reason why he's part of that famed Jackson family.
True. Very true.
I believe Oscar is the son.
Wow.
And I'd have to get together with them, and maybe there's a podcast in order.
Maybe there's an interview or something.
And it sounds like an inside the SCCA waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll get connected with Oscar here in the next, I don't know how long, and
Brian might not say, I'll just tack on there. Brian does have a very interesting and successful podcast, the Inside the SCCA podcast. If you're enjoying the Racing Network, don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out that podcast as well, because, Brian, you do get a lot of very interesting guests, and you guys cover a lot of different subjects, and it's well worth listening to. If the SCCA or just road racing, kind of car racing is your thing, amateur racing, that is a podcast worth listening to for sure.
And interestingly enough, we'll tie this all together.
Sure.
This is the new track here, circuit at Buttonwillow. Next door at the classic track this weekend is the Trans Am Series.
Oh, really?
Trans Am West Series.
I didn't know that.
Are I'm stuttering. The first episode of season 5 is with Andy Lally, who is a good friend of mine. One of the best sports car racers ever, multiple Rolex 24 winners.
Cool.
He has stepped out of the car, and he is now the president of the Trans Am Series.
Oh, all right.
So I think Andy might be here this weekend, and after we're done here, I'm going to chase over there and see if I can't find him. But we did a podcast. The premiere episode for season 5 is with Andy Lally.
Awesome.
And talked about a lot of things, his professional racing exploits as well as his new job with Trans Am. Of course, Trans Am and SCCA have a long history of working together. At one point in time, SCCA, it was like their banner series way back in the day.
Interesting.
And now it's been spun off into the SCCA Pro Racing and its own thing now. It's a different...
Yeah.
That's a long bit of drama. That would be 3 podcasts.
I think it's so interesting. One of the things that I kind of learned when I started getting involved in the SCCA and dipped my toe in is just how many diverse amateur racing organizations there are, or semi-professional racing organizations there are. It's something you don't really think about because, I mean, to be honest with you, not many racetracks that these cars race on. Oh, there might have been a nice little pass right there. That might have been Tony Rodriguez going around Jonathan Lugod. I'm not sure. I want to confirm it when they come across the line, but I do think I saw it. Yeah, it has to be because now you see Jonathan Lugod. He's really getting stuck in there trying to get back around Tony Rodriguez. So a little bit of a fight between the second and third place regardless. But yeah, I was going to say a lot of these racetracks, obviously, they're not near places where a ton of people live. So you don't really hear about it until you're in it.
Right.
And then you start to see just, wow, yeah, there's so many racing organizations, and it's quite fun, honestly. It's good to know.
Now, I will tell you, we talked about it, and the first 5 cars here just really keeping pretty close here. Oscar Jackson is not walking away with this by any stretch, and not even at the halfway point here. That'll be coming up here in just a bit.
Yes, it does look like Jonathan Lugod went on and off. So essentially what happened, I think, was that Tony Rodriguez may have slipped past Jonathan Lugod right there when Lugod went off and got back on. And then it did look like Tony had actually kind of established. We'll check right now. Yep, sure enough. Tony Rodriguez, yes, he is above Jonathan Lugod. So Jonathan Lugod drops back to 3rd. Tony Rodriguez has that lead, doing a good job of holding it. And it's the red car, the number 94, when they come around. I believe Tony Rodriguez is orange, and then Lugod is red. So you can see the two of them on your screens there as they come through. And I mean, all of that is, of course, kind of what we were talking about in our last race, actually. All of that is good news for Oscar Jackson because it means that there's slowdowns and fighting behind him. He just has to run his race. He doesn't have to constantly be checking in the rearview mirror to see if Tony Rodriguez is going to try and get around him. I will say that, though, and as we come down into turn 5, you see Tony Rodriguez putting on speed. He wants that first place. He's gunning for it. He's honestly very fast coming into turn 5 and turn 6. Let's see what this hill looks like here. This slight bit of elevation. Yeah, you know, honestly, give him a couple of laps, and he might genuinely turn this into a fight for Oscar Jackson. We'll see.
Not quite halfway. By the end of this lap, probably will be close to halfway, if not one more lap. I'm waiting to get the official word from timing and scoring. And that word just came from timing and scoring. Wrong button. Let's go to
that.
This
means it is time for the mid-race update brought to you by raceschool.com, one of our sponsors here on the stream. Thank you so much, Race School. Let's go ahead and look it through here. In first place, number 46, Oscar Jackson. In second, number 88, Tony Rodriguez. In third, number 94, Jonathan Lugod. In fourth, number 072, Joseph McGugan. In fifth, number 24, Abdul Osmani. In sixth, number 40, Brian Zimmerman. In seventh, number 56, Steven Ellis. In eighth, number 22, Derek Ferretti. In 9th, number 23, Lawrence Hong. And then in 10th, number 19, Christopher Rosales. And 11th, number 97, Adam Bow. And it does look like maybe Christopher Rosales and Adam Bow didn't actually start today. But that is your mid-race update brought to you by RaceSchool.com, one of the fine sponsors here on the Racing Network.
And there you have it.
Of course, we should mention our other sponsor as well, Porterfield Racing Brakes, for all your racing brakes, pads, all sorts of stuff needs. You can check out Porterfield there. They have been one of the longest-term sponsors of the Racing Network.
They are the OG.
They are the OG, and we appreciate them very much for that. So there you go. And, of course, RaceSchool.com is one of our newer sponsors, and they are great as well. They've
Absolutely
been very supportive. So all good across the board there. Thank you so much for your support of the stream. Help makes it all possible. Help get you all these cameras so you can see things from all these different angles. And, yeah, Brian, of course, you put in a lot of work to make sure everything is looking good and consistently getting better. It's crazy to think that when I started working with you, it was just the one camera. If even that, we were kind of up in that tower.
We may have been just doing radio.
Yeah, we were up in the tower with a monocular, basically, trying to spot things that were going on the track. So, coming a long way here. But the TCs, they're kind of falling into a bit of a rhythm. Tony Rodriguez is holding on to his lead over Jonathan Lugard, but he hasn't, despite what I was thinking, he hasn't quite built up enough speed where he can really challenge Oscar Jackson. And if anything, just based on what we saw there in that last turn, Tony Rodriguez might have a problem here with Jonathan Lugard trying to retake the position, which puts him in a bit of a difficult spot. And I don't necessarily envy him that at all. It's hard work for sure, and yeah, as they come down the straightaway, and when I just take a peek outside of the broadcasting booth, you actually see that they are getting mighty close to one another. And in fact, Abdul Osmani is getting mighty close to the backside of Joe McGugan as well. So that's another one to just sort of watch here at that halfway mark as they sort of battle back and forth. All these cars obviously in the same category, so overall race position is the determining factor of where they end within the point structure of Cal Club. So that is something to definitely fight for here. Yep. It's not like there's only one TC car out there and you win no matter what.
Well, and I'm sitting here on this camera because I want to let everyone see the rest of the field here. I believe that's Stephen Ellis who just came through, and then followed by Derek Ferretti. And there should be one more car. I think it's coming down towards us on turn 7 here. That should be Lawrence Hwang right there. And that is your entire field here as they come through here. And that means at the top of the hill, there he is again. So that's that was the last place car. And then you've got your next two cars, Jackson, Rodriguez, and Lugard, followed by McGugan and Osmani. And that's what they look like right now as they come through turn 7 here with about 10 minutes to go in this race. Oops, there we go. There is Jackson. So that is the top 5 there that we've been kind of following all race long here.
Yeah, it's been, I think, where the meat of the action has been so far, and you can see between Rodriguez and Lugard, that fight is not quite over.
Right.
Lugard putting pressure on Rodriguez even as we speak there, coming through turn number 9. And I don't think that's going to relent. There's still a fair amount of time here in the race, which means there's more than enough time for Lugard to basically catch up. It's also worth pointing out, I mean, all of that is essentially down to Lugard making a single mistake.
Right.
Which was going off and on. So I'm sure there's some motivation there just from that perspective to try and make that back up. And then as much as we're talking about that, I mean, things are tight between McGugan and Osmani as well for the 4th place slot. That's not a given to either of those two drivers at the moment. You can see as they come down the hill there and into the next turn how close they are. And there is even an attempt by Abdul Osmani to get in beneath Joe McGugan and just use the inside of the turn. They're now side and side as they come down through turn 4 and head into turn 5. And that's something to just watch for there. And we'll see if Abdul Osmani can get his 4th place over McGugan. It looks like he might have done it. It's a little hard to tell. We'll get a better confirmation maybe on another angle, trying to work out which car is which per se. And I mean, they come by fast on the screen for us too, folks. So Ooh, yeah, I'm just not sure. I don't want to call it one way or another because I just don't know, and we'll get a confirmation when they come across the start line for sure. But definitely, those two battling just as much as Tony Rodriguez and Jonathan Lugod are set to battle.
Brian Belansky, Tristan Parker here, doing the race call here at the circuit at Buttonwillow. My Race Data, who follows us on the Super Tour, has joined us in the chat. Hi there. As you will learn here quickly, My Race Data, unlike the Super Tour where there's a whole bunch of people doing it, it's just me pressing the buttons and talking. And, of course, Tristan's here with me. So it's a two-man crew here, which is different than a two-live crew.
It is. Very different.
So,
ooh, somebody took that turn way wide back there.
Although not wide enough to kick up dust, because that's usually a telltale sign.
Yeah, they did take it very wide, though. I don't know who that was, but oish, you don't like to see it. And on they come. That lead car still Oscar Jackson. No issues there. And yes, I can confirm Abdul Osmani did get around Joe Magoogan. So that fight, Osmani wins it. Magoogan may not want to give it up. Meanwhile, Rodriguez and Lugod, they're still kind of at it, though. It does seem like Rodriguez got a little bit more distance. The downside for all of this for Rodriguez is he is quickly running out of time to catch up to Oscar Jackson and is really going to struggle to do that as long as Jonathan Lugod is putting so much pressure on him. So it's a bit of a difficult spot for both drivers, but especially for Tony Rodriguez in the middle of that sandwich, knowing you have to catch up to a very speedy car of Oscar Jackson here if you want to make a play for first. And you'll get an illustration of it here in turn 6. There's Oscar Jackson. There's Tony Rodriguez slow kind of coming around the number 6 bend, and then Jonathan Lugod just watching and waiting there behind him.
Just got the word that we're going to be white flag out next time by. And that strikes me as being a little early. I'm not certain. There might be something going on somewhere around the racetrack where they want to get out and get the cleanup going here. So, but that is the situation here. There's your race leader going through 9. Next time under the start stand, they should have the
white
flag in the air. Thank you. I'm not seeing any indication as to why, but it's what we're doing, so here we go. Final lap. There is Oscar Jackson just past a slower car. And now he has that car between him and second and third place, Tony Rodriguez and Jonathan Lugod. Now, I've got turn 2 up here. Turn 2 is up on top of the hill, Tristan. So we're actually seeing turn 2 and turn 3 in this shot. And then this is the exit of turn 3. So I just want to give folks a little bit of a lay of the land here. I think I have the track map here loaded in that we can take a look at. Leader is in turn 5 right there. For the final time today, anyway. We're going to do this all over again tomorrow. Race is a little bit longer tomorrow.
We are, yes. That is very true.
Here comes Jackson up over the hill at 6. This is the hairpin. I think that'll probably stick, the hairpin.
Oop. Yes. Yeah.
There's Jackson. Followed by Rodriguez.
Again, I just don't know how.
Red car is Lugod.
Yeah, it does not look like Lugod is going to be able to catch up with Rodriguez. That's a little unfortunate for Lugod because, honestly, outside of his one on and off, it's been a very clean race, but he just could not make up the difference. I mean, credit to Tony Rodriguez, who was in a difficult position and handled it, I'd say, quite well. Abdul Osmani has to be pretty pleased with himself, too, just getting the better of Joe Magoogan back there. So that's another positive development here out of this race. A little bit of movement then in the TCs, not all static.
All right, here comes your race leader, the yellow car, Oscar Jackson, onto the front straight. Checkered flag is in the air, and Oscar Jackson is your race winner.
I think we can safely bring up here the unofficial results brought to you by RaceSchool.com, starting with your overall race leader. That is the aforementioned number 46 car of Oscar Jackson, followed by number 88, Tony Rodriguez, number 94, Jonathan Lugod, number 24, Abdul Osmani, and number 72, Joseph McGugan. Brian Zimmerman, Derek Ferretti, Lawrence Huang, and Stephen Ellis rounding it out.
All right, that's going to do it for race group number 4, the TC class. Up next, let me pull up that graphic here. We'll drop this one, and we'll put up that one. Hey, I did it right.
Exciting stuff.
Spec Miata, Spec MX5, and SMT. That's next. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back. All right, we are back here live at the circuit at Buttonwillow. This is the Cal Club divisional or regional races here, presented by Porterfield Brakes. You can find all of your brake needs being taken care of by the good folks at Porterfield. They do more than just brakes. They've got shop tools and tools for the trailer and a bunch of other cool stuff. Let's get to our starting lineup here for group number 5, Spec Miata, Spec MX-5, and SMT. Starting 16th on the field is Kenneth Sayward. That's 15th, starting 14th. This would be row 7. Aaron Coulter on the outside, Bill Nelson on the inside. Moving on to row number 6, you've got Gabe Estrada Jr. back in a race car for the first time in a long time. He is on the outside of row number 6. On the inside, John Stott. Row number 5, you've got Tim Gregorio on the outside of 5, and Sam Riaze is on the inside of row 5. Now to row number 4. On the inside, Alex Pollard and Max Lojman. That is row number 4. Row number 3, Spencer Douglas on the inside and Curtis Z on the inside. Now we move on to your front 2 rows. On the outside, it's going to be William Rasmussen in the 85 car. He is a new driver here, a young driver in Spec Racer 4 or in Spec Miata, driving out of karting first. And now he's in Spec Miata. Then you've got Clement Lee. He is on the inside of row number 2 in the number 87 car, Clement Lee. Then you've got your front row. On the outside of row number 1 is Evan Jacobs. And your pole sitter, car number 88, that is Nathan Del Carmen. That's how they're going to start here as we come through and get ready for our second to last race of the day. One more to go after this. And then, of course, we will come and do this all over again tomorrow. So don't go anywhere, folks. Grab yourself a nice little lunch tomorrow, and then come hang out with us on the live stream. Lights are out on the pace car, I am hearing. Oh, I see what's going on.
Got the Spec Miatas up here. I'm sure Brian already introduced them, but a bigger group today, 15 cars, or 16, no, 15, going out there. One of our more competitive groups, so always good to see the Spec Miatas have a run side by side there with that pace car. Like you said, lights do appear to be out, so hopefully we'll be seeing them get the green flag soon, and we'll get this race underway. And like I said, very competitive. Some of our best drivers in this group, so always something to keep an eye on. I actually don't know Nathan Del Carmen. That's a new name
to me as well.
Pole position, though, so has to be doing something right in the number 88 car, because Evan Jacobs and Clement Lee, we know them.
Oh, yes. We do know them.
We know them, and they're very good. So if somebody's taking pole position from them, they also must, by transit property, they must also be very good. So something to keep an eye on, indeed. You can see the green flag is out there, and the Group 5 race underway here. The Spec Miata is thundering down past us here in the casting booth and into the first turn of the circuit here at a beautiful day at Buttonwillow. Thank you so much for joining us on the Racing Network. And
that's right.
Hope you're as excited as we are to see what the Spec Miatas have in store, because they never disappoint. And boy, they don't there at the start. That is a tight pack at the front. Almost 3 wide for a second there by the look of it. So putting the new track through its paces for sure as they hit that first bit of elevation. We were talking about it earlier today, Brian. There is a lot more elevation here on the circuit than there is on the Classic, which really, that's a challenge that some of these drivers aren't necessarily super familiar with. I don't want to see complacency has set in after years and years and years and years and years and years of doing the Classic, but it has, I think, a little bit. And so this track is both a new challenge and an enjoyable one for the drivers here, especially drivers like these Spec Miata drivers who have just been racing over and over again.
Sure.
6 or 7 times a year, if not more, at Buttonwillow.
Well, and what's going to happen is this will be our last race now on the circuit for this year. And we will come back, and our next race is actually at the historic Willow Springs International Raceway. And that is coming up last weekend in May, first weekend in June. So we'll be there for that. And then when we come back in the fall, we're going to go back to the Classic track. And I'm just checking the schedule to make sure. Yes, both of our – oh, no, I'm sorry. We do come back one more time. So the next race out here is in October, the 25th and 26th, and that will be on the classic track. Then we'll have our final race of the year. We'll be back here at the circuit. So, it's shiny and brandy new, and we still have shiny, blinky ADD, and we'll be back out here for one more event, and then. Next year, I think it'll be more of maybe even every other kind of thing to mix things up. But when you got something new, you want to play with the new toy, right?
Exactly.
So.
Sorry for cracking a can open there. I assure you that is a Diet Coke.
Oh, no, we are boozing it up here during.
I went to see The Brutalist before the Oscars.
Oh, boy.
Which is a very long movie.
Yes.
And I had a can of like an energy drink. I brought it with me. Don't tell the movie theater.
Uh-oh.
And I made the mistake of cracking it open right as it transitioned to a very silent and serious scene.
Serious scene,
so
right.
you just heard... I was like, oh, no, I could have done that at a worse time. Anyway, speaking of good times, Nathan Del Carmen, 205.006 on that last lap. And what are you owing at?
If you look off there,
yep,
you will see a car. Looks like a mechanical problem, I'm being told.
Who is Silver?
Silver. I don't know.
Clement Lee, I think, drives a Silver. I don't want to be creating false information out there in the space.
Well,
so,
we will know
as
more.
You can see, coming past our camera right now, there's about 4 different Silver cars, so it doesn't really narrow it down very much. But we'll see how it goes. And man, that front 4 there for the Spec Miatas, front 6 even. That is tight. They are not giving up any room whatsoever.
Oh, there's a car putting the wheel off there as they come out of turn number 6.
Oh, that was rough. He was off it for a while there, too.
Yep.
Really putting his suspension through the works. You hate to see it.
Or you love to see it because it makes for good. It makes for good live stream.
It does make it for a good live stream. You can make lots of noises. So, oh, my Lord. Anyway. Yeah, maintaining that. Nathan Del Carmen, I think, is just maintaining the lead right now, but it's definitely not a smooth sailing. That's there for sure. He's got to fight for that one as they come into turn number 9.
That's right. Here they come, and this is typical Spec Miata. These 4 cars out front, they're going to work together with a draft. We should have a better idea once everyone crosses the line this time. Hearing that it's the 03 of Max Logeman might be the car sitting off there.
Still sitting.
Yeah, and they'll probably leave it there till the end of the race.
The top 3 has remained the top 3 has changed a little bit. Is that okay? It's not Clement Lee. The top 3 did have a change. William Rasmussen managed to get the better of Evan Jacobs, which is something that I don't think we saw on our cameras, but it did in fact happen. Clement Lee holding on to that second spot.
Right.
And again, William Rasmussen, I feel like I have heard that name before. He's been here before, but I don't think he's one of our more frequent competitors.
Actually, he sent me a little bio, which I actually recommend everyone do.
It honestly helps us because it gives us more to talk about, and obviously more to talk about you if you want to show this off at a later date.
Let's see, is this it? Oh, here we go. We're 16 years old, high school student. He's from Huntington Beach, California. Grew up racing go-karts, and now he races Spec Miata. Started racing cars last year. This is his first year with the SCCA and Cal Club. He is number 23, and he is racing with Team Hicks Motorsports. So there you go.
Cool. Well, good for you, Mr. Rasmussen, starting off on the right foot there.
After all that time reading, I got to find our... Where are our people?
Starting off on the right foot,
Here
though,
they come.
if you're taking one over Evan Jacobs, you're doing pretty well. So,
all right, so there are your leaders. Right up front there is Jacobs. Behind him is Rasmussen, I believe.
Maybe Rasmussen got above Jacobs, but they might have switched back. There wasn't much of a gap.
Okay, so I think that's, it's Del Carmen Lee Rasmussen.
Clement Lee, yes. Yeah. Clement Lee, Rasmussen, Jacobs was the order when they crossed the line. Might have been some shifting in there. There's definitely some shifting farther down the grid. Alex Pollard went up over John Stott, and yes, sure enough, you were correct. Evan Jacobs did manage to get back around William Rasmussen, now sitting again in 3rd place here. But Nathan Del Carmen continues to hold that lead, 0.45 second difference between him and Evan Jacobs. So there's very much a race on there between 1st and 2nd place. And we'll see if Nathan Del Carmen can show up here in a big way on what might be one of their first races out here at Buttonwillow, or at least one of the first ones I've seen.
Now, these 4 lead cars are going to start to come up on this slower group of cars. They're not catching them fast, which means it's going to possibly be hard for them to get around all 4 of them to get around those 2 back markers at the same time, because they're not really that slow. They just didn't get the start. Maybe they had an issue in the first lap or 2 in the race, and that's why they fell behind. But it is interesting to see what's going to happen here with that group of cars, and here they come. That's your leaders right there, those 4, and then 5th and 6th is right there. And, well, that's going to help out a little bit with one of those slower cars taking and putting a wheel off. That'll slow him down just a teeny-weeny bit. And, yes, I said teeny-weeny.
It's perfectly fair. That turn 6 is kind of being a menace, honestly. You say that's the 2nd or 3rd time now that we've seen a Spec Miata go and kick up a bunch of dust right there. So something about that is not agreeing with this class, because no other group has put up dust on turn 6. So.
Yep, and now those leaders have caught the back of that group of slower cars. I think they'll probably heed way here and let them by, although it doesn't look like they're letting them by that easily.
What a mess sitting there. That's actually quite a mess.
And we'll catch them here as they come on to the front straight here. Del Carmen, Clement Lee, Evan Jacobs, William Rasmussen has now dropped back to 4th place. So the little shake-up, or 3rd place, I should say, a little shake-up there. So Clement Lee back around Rasmussen. And those slower cars still right there in the mix, not moving over as nicely as I think they should.
That's a
tough situation because they're battling for their own race there. But you also don't want to get into the heave-ho of the leaders as they come through. And look at the big gap that Del Carmen has been able to take advantage of here. It's gotta be 4 or 5, maybe even 10 car lengths.
I'm glad you said it, Brian, because I was going to say it as well. He really took advantage of that kind of hairball as they were coming into that straightaway and just really blasted ahead. He was hanging about 0.3 of a second,
right,
with a 0.3 of a second gap from Clement Lee. It's up to about 1.2 seconds. So he really took advantage of that. And you can see that's still kind of an issue, even as they come through turn 5. Some of those cars that were in that lead group are still struggling here to sort of sort things out. It looks like they have finally made some space for those top 3, but there's a car in between. I want to say that's probably Spencer Douglas and Curtis Z that is still causing some problems for them to try and get around. And yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to get a call from race control.
No, they won't.
That's messy, and it's still messy. That group of 3, they're 3 wide coming into some of these tighter turns is not really great. That's they can do what they want to a certain extent, but that's dangerous positioning. It does look like they will have maybe sorted this out and fallen back into an order. But yeah, that was wild racing. That's for sure. Different. Give them that.
They're going to be coming up on the halfway point here in about another lap or so. Things continue to be interesting up front as they come across the line this time. It is Del Carmen with looking for the gap, a 1.2 second lead over Clement Lee. Evan Jacobs now jumps up to 3rd place with Will Rasmussen heading back to 4th in the 23 car. I'm not sure if he likes Will, but I just called him Will. Sorry, Will. I'll go back to William. You can let me know how you like it. There are your leaders. 4. Now, the good news is for the 3 cars in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is they can work together. There's plenty of time for them to draft right back up to the back of Del Carmen. So I would not suggest for a second that this is done by any way, shape, or form. There are the 3 cars.
No, you're completely right. And we often see in the Spec Miata category someone holding the lead for the majority of the race, only for something to happen on the back half and suddenly they lose their position. That has happened multiple times in this category. You just can't take anything for granted in this class, especially considering there are very talented drivers in this class, like Clement Lee, Evan Jacobs, clearly William Rasmussen is doing great as well. Spencer Douglas is also very strong. You really have to be very careful about assuming that you're ever kind of just running away with it, because you're really not.
No, not rarely is that the case in this particular class. So, Spec Miata, Spec MX-5s, SMT, here they are coming through now. Through turn lane, those are your leaders right there. Del Carmen, Lee, Jacobs, Rasmussen, 1, 2, 3, and 4 through turn 8. And then a little further back, you've got Douglas, Z, and Pollard there.
Yeah, this is really a test for Del Carmen to just maintain this gap from Clement Lee. I mean, he's doing a good job of it so far, but just has to continue to work it and has to continue to play those turns as fast as possible to prevent really any sort of turnaround. The pressure on the leader in this situation is excessive, and usually is the reason why we see a car maybe put a wheel out of place and then someone like Clement Lee just rocket past. Honestly, Clement Lee has been in a similar position, and he too has, I think, fallen prey to something that looks a lot like this. So definitely Nathan Del Carmen racing well and having to continue being pretty much wheels on perfect on the track throughout this. To maintain this position. I don't think what you're going to see is Evan Jacobs getting around Clement Lee. I just don't think that's probably going to happen until Evan Jacobs really thinks that he can maybe get both of them or get up to first place. But you never know. I mean, it's always a possibility, but that drafting usually tends to be the more popular choice here among these Spec Miatas when they're not holding the first place spot.
We're at the halfway point. That means it's time for the mid-race update brought to you by RaceSchool.com.
Well, good news. We can, in fact, do the mid-race update. Starting in first place, it's Nathan Del Carmen, followed by Clement Lee, followed by Evan Jacobs in third. In fourth, it's William Rasmussen. In fifth, Spencer Douglas. In sixth, Curtis Z. In seventh, Alex Pollard. In eighth, Richard James. In ninth, John Stott. In 10th, Tim Gregorio, racing for his second time here today, followed by Bill Nelson, Aaron Coulter, Sam Razai, and Gabe Estrada Jr., and Max Logeman. And that is your mid-race update, brought to you by RaceSchool.com.
There you go. So that means we've got about 12 minutes or so, maybe 11 minutes left in this race. You will notice this time William Rasmussen has dropped back a little further from second and from the third place car.
It's been a snappy day today, actually. We've been going along at a good clip.
Yeah. We've had a lot of good racing action here, decent-sized races. And of course, we always have a couple of our stalwart classes, this being one of them, Spec Miata. Spec Racer Ford's usually also pretty well subscribed and puts on a good show.
There's always a good number of Spec Miatas, and they always have some very intense races. And this one, I mean, honestly, is not much different. You can see Clement Lee is actually, I think, gaining, at least visually, on Nathan Del Carmen. And sure enough, the gap has gone down between them by about 0.2, 0.3 of a second. So slowly but surely chunking it in. I think the question is, do you have enough laps that you can make the difference that you have to? You can make the pass that you have to. Because it's one thing to get to a position where you're right behind Nathan Del Carmen, as we've seen from some of our other races today. It is another beast entirely to actually make the definitive pass, right? Like, that is a challenge in and of itself. I want to give it credit, by the way, Curtis Z in the 77th car. He did get around number 85, Spencer Douglas. So he moved up just a little bit as well into 5th place overall. So something worth noting. Just in the back, you won't see him, though. Well, you will, actually. I think this is probably him who's coming by right now. But back to the leaders there, the gap actually starting to open up between Clement Lee and Evan Jacobs, too. So that's not an ideal scenario for any of the drivers involved.
Natalie Del Carmen is in the chat. Guess who she's rooting for?
Probably Nathan Del Carmen.
Yeah, she says, go Nate, and a couple of flowers. So I'm not quite sure if Natalie is mom, sister, or wife. Could be any of those
One
three.
of the above. Aunt. Let's.
Aunt, yeah, there's true. That's a possibility.
One of the above.
Don't diss the aunts out there.
No, definitely not.
So, or if you're from the Midwest, the aunt.
The ants, yes.
Yes.
Ants would, yes.
Yes.
There's too much of that British
Ant.
English. Yes, the ant. Yeah. Pecan versus pecan. but-
Exactly. Exactly. Like Toucan Sam.
That's another good one.
There you go.
Nathan Del Carmen, though, he's holding the lead. So if you're rooting for Nathan, Nate's doing a hell of a job right now. Let's be honest.
He is, but it looks like Clement Lee's closed the gap just a little bit, hasn't he?
He has closed the gap, and I was just gonna say, as good as Nathan has been doing.
Ooh, someone went off.
Oh, please don't be Mr. Del Carmen after we've been pumping him up. It might very well have been.
Oh, wow, look at that. Side by side going into 5.
Yikes. Unfortunately, I was just saying earlier in this race, you only got to make one tiny little error in the Spec Miatas, and it is a problem. And, oh, he's going to just cut the inside.
Wow, what great racing there going into turn number 6.
That was well done.
It was well done. Natalie is the sister. LMAO. Laugh Ma took us off.
Yeah, was actually really well done by Del Carmen.
Yeah,
right
really
there.
well done.
I can't imagine that Clement Lee is particularly happy about it, but because because he did just basically. I mean, you saw it on your screen. He basically swung his car in such a way where Clement Lee only had 3 options, which was either run into him, slow down, or go off the track.
Yep.
And that's aggressive and well played. So that's frustrating for Clement Lee. Clement Lee not going to be easily deterred from that, though. And because he's managed to get back the gap so much here with 18 minutes in, he probably has enough time to try that once or twice more. Again, though, turn 5, turn 6, this is looking like it's developing into a real passing zone.
Yes.
People love that area, apparently.
There are your leaders again now. All 3 of them bunched up nice and tight. And then
Such
you've
a
got
small
William
gap.
Rasmussen just hoping that they go into a bit of a schmozzle so that he can drive right by and catch up.
You've got Evan Jacobs hoping that there's
That's
a
right.
schmozzle there at the front, and he can just sling himself past. I mean, they're all kind of waiting for their mark, and Evan Jacobs might even be getting a little bit hungry himself and just playing for second now for Clement Lee, because it looked for all the marbles right there in turn 2 like he was trying to get around him. So that's something to think about there.
Well, and I was going to say, with 5.5 minutes or so to go, it's kind of go time here. It's going to be...
Second is better than third.
That is true. That is true. Probably 2 laps to go next time by is my guess. Here they come, back up the hill towards 6. Nice little gap for Del Carmen, but right there you see Lee and Jacobs catch up again.
There's no breathing room.
No.
There's none for Del Carmen. There's no breathing room whatsoever. And if he goes off and on, it's done and dusted for him, genuinely. He has to hold that position.
Same thing going through 7 this time by. It is Del Carmen, Lee, Jacobs. They've been at the front the entire race. And they continue to put on a fantastic show here with a little under 5 minutes to go here at the circuit at Buttonwillow.
You can really tell that Clement Lee is angling for that inside pass, right? This is definitely what he's looking. He's trying to get in between Nathan Del Carmen and the inner edge of these turns. And wherever he sees an opportunity to do that, he puts a little spurt of gas into it and looks for that spot. Nathan Del Carmen so far has been doing a pretty good job of either shutting down that line preemptively or shutting it down at the moment, like we saw with the turn 6. But again, you're also, when you're being forced as the lead driver to make the sharper turn and come in like that, you're putting yourself in a bit of a difficult spot. We actually saw this, I think, or something quite similar to it earlier today. Denny Renfro essentially tried to do the exact same thing that we saw Nathan Del Carmen do on that same turn, except he spun.
Right.
So that's the thing that you have to think about. Now, this is a better gap by all intents and purposes for Nathan Del Carmen. He's actually put it back to 0.5 of a second. But again, 0.5 of a second, Not a lot to talk about there.
Not at all.
And Evan Jacobs might be the spoiler here for Clement Lee because Evan Jacobs is really tight behind that number 87 car. Now, there's drafting, and there's also just, trying to get around him. And it's kind of hard to say exactly what's happening between the two of them right now.
I have not heard word from race control that this is going to be white flag next time by, so I am waiting for that to happen. But there they are. Del Carmen, Lee, and Jacobs. A little bit further back is William Rasmussen here. Down the hill towards turn 7. Looks like we're going to get treated to 2 more laps here.
They're going to have to pry Del Carmen's hands off the steering wheel after this. My Lord.
That's right.
He's going to leave Hayden hands on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time he looks at his rearview mirror, he basically make eye contact with Clement Lee. So, yikes.
Well, and I guarantee you he is looking more out of his rearview window than he is out of his front windshield right now. Because
100%.
there is nothing in front of him to worry about. Look at that. It is just clear sailing for these 3 cars over the next couple of laps here. I'm going to guess this time by, we're going to hear that next time by is going to be 1 to go.
The thing is, I guarantee you, just based off of how he handled the last hairball there, that Nathan Del Carmen wishes there was something in front of him that he could play off of, because he did it very well last time, and I'm sure he's thinking about it. But yeah, he's not catching anybody soon, so he's just going to have to do this the old-fashioned way and just hold on to that lead.
There are your leaders coming from 1 up towards turn 2. That's them way off in the distance. That is turn 2. That uphill banked left-hander.
It's a toughie, actually. It's uncomfortable in a street car, which means that in a race car, it's probably even more uncomfortable. So, CRV was not a fan.
All right, there is the official word from timing and scoring. Next time by will be the white flag, and then there'll be 2.4 miles left to go.
2.4 miles for Clement Lee to just to find an opening, and 2.4 miles for Nathan Del Carmen to just dig in. Entrench.
Yep. Just nothing changing here for these 3 drivers. My question is, are they just waiting for that last lap moment so they don't have to worry about getting passed again? Or are they trying and not able to get to that rear bumper? So, oops, wrong button. Sorry.
I said it earlier, this backing out is that happens all the time.
Yep.
You do literally see it. And it could be the situation that we're looking for here is that Clement Lee is in a position where he wants to get the pass, but yeah, he doesn't want somebody catching him back up again. So he's just playing this very cautiously, and he's just going to wait until the last lap, and then he's just going to blow open this lead. But we'll see. That's one of those things that is very much a possibility, but also very much easier said than done.
Yes, to quote that great poet laureate George W. Bush, the strategery is fascinating.
Strategery is fascinating. Must admit.
Yes, last lap is about to happen. White flag is in the air. Will it be Del Carmen, Lee, or Jacobs? We will know in about 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Well, if anything, the gap there is a little bit wider for Nathan Del Carmen.
Just a tiny bit, yeah.
Tiny bit, which, I mean, if we're playing a game of inches here, that really does matter. We'll follow him all the way around the track.
Yep.
I mean, Clement Lee's kind of dropping back. This wasn't as tight as it was last time, so...
Yep. Question, is he dropping back to try to get a run, or is he dropping back because he can't keep up?
That was my initial thought, was that he was dropping back to try and get a run.
Yeah.
Kind of like you would take one of those little wind-up cars and pull it back on its wheels, but we'll see if that's actually what's happening, or if it's just Nathan Del Carmen.
Someone puts a wheel off.
Can't be doing that. Not with things as close as they are, but hey, Nathan Del Carmen, he is speeding up.
Yeah.
Keeping that gap big. Well, turn 6, I think, will be a real eye-opener here, because I feel like if Nathan Del Carmen can maintain a similar gap, there's a bit of made-up time there for Clement Lee. Almost certainly he put some speed on, but yeah, it's just not happening. It's not manifesting. for Clement Lee right now.
Lee and Jacobs are doing everything they can to try to get to that rear bumper. They've only got a couple of corners left to go. At the moment, they are not close enough to make it happen, but they do close the gap just a little bit going down to 7.
I just don't think there's enough track. I don't think there's enough track left. Where are you going to make this turn? Are you going to make it on turn? You're wanting to make this pass. You're going to make it on turn 8? Are you going to try and hook him on turn 9? It might actually have just answered my question right there. Oh, my God.
Side by side, going into 8.
Oh, no.
Del
He
Carmen
put a
goes
wheel
off
off.
just a tiny bit.
He didn't really have a choice in his defense. I mean, what was he supposed to do? He's got broadside.
Still side by side. Del Carmen ahead going into 9. You'll see them way off in the distance as they come out of turn 10.
Camera
Here they
shaking with
come.
anticipation.
Down towards the checkered flag. Who is it going to be? We'll know in just a second. At the line, Del Carmen, then Lee, then Evan Jacobs. What a great final lap.
Woo! It was a great final lap. You have to give credit to Clement Lee right there. He made an opportunity happen. Nearly had him because you saw that wheel go off for
Right.
Del Carmen, but a masterful bit of driving by Del Carmen to bring it back.
Yep.
Because he really, I mean, we saw through turn 8 and through turn 9, they were almost side by side, and Del Carmen just put on a little bit of speed there when they came back across the straight, and it was enough because there's a 0.2 second difference. But in the end, it does look like it'll be Nathan Del Carmen who takes first place, which leads us to our unofficial results here, brought to you by Raceschool.com. In first place, number 88, Nathan Del Carmen. In second, number 87, Clement Lee. In third, number 35, Evan Jacobs. In fourth, number 23, William Rasmussen. In fifth, number 77, Curtis Z. In sixth, number 85, Spencer Douglas. In seventh, number 91, Richard James. In eighth, number 47, Alex Pollard. In ninth, number 8, Tim Gregorio. In 10th, number 45, John Stott, followed by Bill Nelson, Aaron Coulter, Sam Razai, Gabe Estrada Jr., Kenneth Sword, and Max Lozman. That is your unofficial results, brought to you by Raceschool.com.
I am hearing that Lee and Del Carmen may have had a little side-to-side
Wouldn't surprise me.
relations on the final lap.
A little tete, but yeah.
Tete-a-tete, yes.
We'll see.
Which is different from a coup d'etat.
It is, yes.
Yes.
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, they're pretty close.
They were very, very close, so. All right. Well, that's a fantastic race. We're going to take a break, catch our breath before Wings and Things comes out. That's next. This is my favorite race. FA, FC, FE2, PE, P2, and S2. That's next. Stay with us. Welcome back to the circuit at Buttonwillow for the Cal Club races for our final race of the day. Don't worry, though, folks. We're going to come back and do it again tomorrow morning. Racing tomorrow starts a little bit earlier. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, let's get to our starting lineups for our Wings and Things. For that, we have Tristan Parker.
Right, starting at the back here, number 50, or in 15th, number 23, Etienne. In 14th, number 46, John Fabianic. In 13th, number 53, Paul McFarland. In 12th, number 21, R. Mark Russell. In 11th, Chuck Holst. In 10th, number 9, Gary Peterson. In 9th, number 31, Nick Kodenko. In 8th, number 18, Tom Hope. In 7th, number 7, Joseph Moran. In 6th, number 44, Paul Marino. In 5th, number 87, Troy Shooter. In 4th, number 35, Greg Labady. In 3rd, number 135, Johnny Crean. In 2nd, number 32, Trevor Russell. And in 1st, number 24, Jace Petty.
That's how we're going to start them here. Your starting grid brought to you by RaceSchool.com. Of course, this is the SCCA Cal Club races here. Our presenting sponsor, Porterfield Brakes. They've been with us for a long time. We really appreciate everything that they do for us as we, oops, wrong button. There we go. Everything they do for us. They've been here from the beginning, all 3 years we've done the live stream. Could not do it without them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you can find out all of the information about Porterfield Brakes. Go to Porterfield-Brakes.com. Here comes our first pack split start. Let me see if I can take it. It looks like our prototypes and our Formula Atlantics are in the first group. That makes sense. And then I'm going to guess it's going to be FE2 in the second group. That's typically how we do that. Here, let me go back and look at the group. Yep, that looks like FE2 cars in the second pack. So nice FE2 field here. Let me take a peek.
Alrighty.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Yeah, pretty decent. That might be the Formula Continental field in the back. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Formula 9 Formula Continentals. That's probably what the dealio is there.
Oh, okay, interesting.
All right, we should see our field here coming on to the start line for the first time.
Just waiting.
Waiting with bated breath, patiently.
Any minute now.
Here they come. You can see as the sun starts to go down, you can see some of the glare coming off of like the visors and everything on some of these cars.
Yeah.
As they come around with the little sun a little further down in the sky. Our first pack will be coming on to the front straight here. And as that happens, you will see and hear them ramp up. Waiting for a green flag, and green flag is in the air. We are racing our final race of the day, and we are getting ready to go here. 25 minutes of racing left.
Indeed. We'll see what this category holds. Some of the faster cars that will be out there today, so that's fun in and of itself to see the kind of times these guys can put up, and boy, do they put up some times.
Now you will see, or you may have noticed, that the flagger at turn station 1 was holding out a standing yellow flag. It's because they've left this car here. It was too hard to pick up, and we wanted to keep on schedule. 1 lap, so everybody knows it's there, and then they will get back to racing action here. A green flag all the way around, so they'll probably drop this yellow flag. I believe that's a yellow flag. Hard to tell from a distance, but that would make sense to me.
I was going to say, I really hope they don't make that poor flagger stand there and hold that yellow flag for 25 minutes.
I've done that before. We should get our second start here pretty quick. The split start here is a little too far apart, in my opinion.
It is very far apart.
The whole point of the split start is to give people a chance to have their own race, but when you have the split this far back, the front pack is likely to catch the middle pack, the second pack, way too soon. Here comes Formula Continental through for the first time. Everything looks really nice and clean there. I should actually wait to say things like that. But no, absolutely clean. Through turn one.
Yeah, it's a big split start. That's a big gap. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine. Like, I'm sure that it's known, but
Well, and as you see now, our first group's already at the start-finish line, finishing their second lap, or their first lap. So that's the problem that you run into. But we'll keep an eye on this Formula Continental group. They will negotiate it all just fine, I'm sure. Up the hill here, making the right-hander at the hairpin.
oof, that turn is brutal though.
It is really, really tight.
Yeah. Paul Marino in the lead now. Joseph Moran just behind him, followed by Tom Hope. Greg Labate, who was pole position, I believe, coming out of qualifying, has actually dropped back to 4th overall with Johnny Crean kind of just behind him. So some shifting in that first starting group right there. We'll see what happens with the rest of the Group 6 here too. Yeah, they just, the Formula Atlantics, the FCs, what have you, they are fast.
It's my favorite race group.
It is very entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, already Paul Marino has put up a lap time that I think was about 1:45, so that kind of gives you a clarification of just how fast the Formula cars are going.
And as a comparison, Spec Miata before, their lap times were 2 minute, 2 second range.
Yeah,
for
2
the
minutes,
leaders.
maybe 1:59 if you were 1:59 something if you were going really fast. But yeah, 2 minutes. I mean, these are the fastest cars on the track by a pretty significant margin today, I think. And yeah, it's not always intensely competitive in this group. A lot of the time, they do kind of settle in to a rhythm and just kind of run it out. That doesn't mean that there won't be passes and what have you. You're seeing one developing right there on your screen.
So I've just taken us back here to our first pack. So that's going to be Paul Marino coming through first, followed by Joe Moran, then Tom Hope, Greg Labate, and Johnny Crean. That's your top 5 in that opening group there. And then the first of the Formula Continentals should be, where are they at here? Oh, I am on the wrong page. Trying to find Trevor Russell, I think,
He is the leader, yeah, I
is the
believe.
leader in the 32 car.
Correct.
So Trevor Russell, Mark Russell, I'm going to guess they're related, both out of Tucson area, so making the trip across the border.
Yeah, you like to see that.
Exactly. So there's one of our prototypes there. I think that's Johnny Crean.
Yeah, we're always happy to see out-of-staters
Absolutely.
come out and join us. Always fun.
There is your lead pack already coming down towards turn 7, catching up with them. Next car into our view will be Paul Marino, followed by Joe Moran. And then right behind them, Tom Hope. These are names, if you followed us for the last few years, Marino, Moran, Hope, Labate. Those are guys we talk about all the time in this race group.
Yeah, they're all names that should be familiar to anyone who's been listening to our races and what have you. So talented drivers, all of them too. That's the thing. Moran, he's a very common presence out here. Marino is very talented. Either of them could easily be first place. You really can't count anyone in any of these groups out. Etaina here, actually, Etainer is come up as well here to hold on to sort of the 7th or 6th place overall. You got Johnny Crean, who, again, that's another very well-known name here out at Buttonwillow and Gang Cal Club. And then, obviously, you get down into it. You got, Trevor Russell. He's out and about. Troy Shooter is another one I recognize. Fabianic comes out quite a fair bit. So a group of racers who are out here in a decent amount. But the first 6 minutes in, I should say, and things have been relatively, I don't want to say straightforward, but kind of, there's not been a lot going on. Joseph Moran is holding about 0.765 of a second behind Paul Marino. But realistically speaking, in terms of people who could be getting back into the race, I think, oh no, Jace Petty is 0.34 of a second behind Trevor Russell. So there is a little something developing back there as well. Just with the split start, it's a little hard to capture everything on the two cameras because they are very out of sync right now.
Yeah. So I just picked up, this is your lead in Formula Continental. That is Trevor Russell, and then right behind him, Jace Petty. As they come down now towards turn 5 here, those are your top two in Formula Continental.
Yeah, Jace Petty really chasing right there. I think that he's looking for an opportunity to maybe to make a pass early on. Turn 6 seems to be it. Ooh, that's a choppy turn.
Yes.
That was a choppy turn from Jace Petty right there. I actually thought that he might spin that one just the way that he went in, but he keeps it on, so all good. Keeps control of it, but I don't think that's going to be the kind of moves that he's going to want to make if he wants to get the better of Trevor Russell, that's for sure.
Yeah. Turn 6 in these smaller cars, you can take a little more creativity in your lines to a certain extent. And the same thing here with turn 8 as well.
I believe you 100%. He took it very wide, though.
Yes, that's probably more creativity than you want to.
That's a little... Yeah. We're sort of past Da Vinci and into, like, Tumblr art. I don't think, like, there's levels.
I love it.
He wants to. He's going to need to tighten that up a minute. I mean, he's doing a great job of holding position with Trevor Russell. It's something that we saw actually in our last race with the Spag Miatas, which is that Clement Lee did a spectacular job of essentially holding on to the belt of Nathan Del Carmen.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you can get around him. And generating the chance to make the pass in and of itself is an art form. Like, it's part of the difficulty of racing. Because it's like, nobody's going to be like, oh, well, he's keeping pace with me. Let me just get over, let him pass. So we'll see how that develops.
And that little creative line through turn 6, it turns out that it was about 0.2 of a second of not so good creativity. Because when they came across the line, Russell had opened up a 0.4 of a second gap.
Yeah.
It was about 0.2 of a second this time by, and now he takes a more conventional
much more conventional line. No messing around. What's interesting too about it was Jace Petty is the first, I think, driver that I've seen today, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I do kind of feel like he was the first driver I've seen today who tried to go wide on that turn as opposed to cleaving to the inside, because the consistent pass that people have been making on turn 6 has been trying to get in underneath. He is the only person I've seen try and go around the outside, and when you think about it almost from a physics perspective, it doesn't really make sense. So it's probably not the best way to approach that turn. But lesson learned. Clearly he learned. He's going to try it differently this time around.
Keeping an eye on the Formula Continental battle, because up front the gap is up to almost 2 seconds. So, and then the gap between second and third
happened.
13 seconds. So yeah, Joe Moran has fallen back.
Joe Moran has gone up. Trevor Russell, not Trevor Russell.
Oh, that's right.
Who was leading there?
It was Paul Marino.
Paul Marino, who's
That's
dropped
what
back
happened.
to 5th. So something happened to Paul Marino.
Yeah.
Paul Marino, let's just confirm this. Yeah, sputting continues.
Sputting continues.
Unfortunate. Turn number 7. So when we see turn number 7 next time, that'll give us a bit of an idea, or we can kind of see turn number 7, give us an idea of where that mistake happened. So that puts Paul Marino all the way back in 4th place, which is got to be annoying.
So that car right there that we just saw was Joe Moran catching the back of the Formula Continental field here. And he's going to have to try to negotiate around that group of cars.
Well, we kind of figured that was inevitable, wasn't it?
Yeah. So. Well, and he can take his time. He's not racing against them, and he's got a 3-second lead over second place, so no issues there at all. 10 almost coming up on the halfway point. You can see right there he could have gone by there, chose not to.
Yeah. Trying to see. I don't know that he's going to catch the. Is he going to catch the front of the pack where Trevor Russell and Jace Petty are going to be?
Well,
because that's the question.
That may happen eventually. I think this is the back of that.
Yeah,
pack.
I think this is the back of the Ford. You're like Continental.
Yeah, and there he. Where'd he go?
It's a little hard to tell, isn't it?
It's hard to tell.
The profile is different, but it's not significantly different.
Yeah. Oh, there's Joe Moran there. So I think maybe he got around most of those.
easy to get lost.
Yeah. And then there's Johnny Crean. So, yeah, that's the, there is Moran. So it looks like there's Moran, there's Tom Hope, and then there's a back marker there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, we still got plenty of race here to run. We're only about 11 minutes into this, so now coming up on 12 minutes into it, I should say. So yeah, we still got a lot of distance to cover for these cars. We'll say Joseph Moran has opened up a pretty good 3-second lead on Tom Hope, so I don't necessarily know that you're going to see shifting in the first group. That said, I think the Trevor Russell-Jace Petty fight back down there is still very much on. There's no significant change between the two of them. So Trevor Russell is in a bit of a fight right now to keep everything straight and narrow, and essentially has to maintain that for another, what is that, 10 minutes almost? Getting close to 10 minutes.
Stay here in this camera so I can pick up that Trevor Russell and Jace Petty battle again. That is the best battle on the racetrack right now.
It is, and I've been looking for them, but it's a little hard to tell now that they've kind of maybe mixed up a little bit where's who and who's what. So
they should be the second and third car coming across here. And we are also getting the halfway to go here.
Alrighty. Well, shall we go ahead and present the mid-race results brought to you by raceschool.com. Let's start here at the top. In first place overall, it is Joseph Moran. In second place, Tom Hope. In third, Johnny Crean. In fourth, Greg LeBeatty. In fifth, Paul Marino. In sixth, Trevor Russell. Seventh, Jace Petty. 8th, Etai Nar. In 9th, Troy Shooter. In 10th, Gary Peterson, followed by R. Mark Russell, Nick Kodenko, John Fabianic, Paul McFarland, Chuck Hoos, and Andy Chan to round it out. And there is your mid-race update brought to you by raceschool.com.
And there is that battle for the first place spot here in Formula Continental. Coming up the hill now towards turn 6.
There you go. I think you found him again, yeah?
I did. Patience pays off here.
It does. It does indeed. Also, good opportunity. We should thank our other sponsor here, the OG sponsor, Porterfield Racing Brakes. All your brake pads, brake needs, they do it all. Great company. Very, very happy to have them continue to support things here on the Racing Network. And then it's just a general reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're following along, don't forget to maybe drop a like or a subscribe or a follow, whatever it is now, to check out all the content that comes across the Racing Network. Brian puts out some very good stuff here. He also has a podcast, the Inside the SCCA podcast, so you can check that out as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
Check's in the mail. Check is in the mail.
For sure. But yes, all good stuff there, and you'll have to see it. But we're back on watching here. A new track record, by the way, for Formula Continental coming out of Jace Petty. So good job, 139.902, which is awfully fast. And a new track record for ASR by Etai there. So 2 track records being set on that last lap.
Very cool.
That is cool. Lap 8, a fast lap across the board.
Always want to make your mark early at a new racetrack, you know?
Sure. We literally saw earlier today somebody set a track record and lose it in the span of about a second.
Right.
So
that's right. You know, and you can only say once that you were the first track record holder at a racetrack.
That is also true. Yeah, there's no do-overs on that. So.
Yeah. Oops. Let's go to this one. Exit at turn 6 camera button is in the wrong place on my thing.
Speaking of, I'm going to keep calling these out because I think they're great. Andy Chan just set a new track record for the P2 category, 210.088. So one of our slower cars on the track, but still fast enough to set himself a record here. Probably, he's also, I think, the only P2, so that helps.
There you go. Well, we've had P2s at other races, so that is the case there. I'm going to butcher this name ahead of time. I'm saying I apologize. Galia Olszowska is rooting for Ete Nahia. So thank you for being there. We'll send along your well wishes.
Joseph Moran has really opened up that gap, by the way, at the top of all of this. 5.3 seconds now.
That's a big one.
That's almost insurmountable given only 10 minutes left
Correct.
in this race, and considering how fast these cars are going, nothing is impossible because it's always possible that Joseph Moran could mess up, but it's almost insurmountable. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to do that just by cruising. Let's just put it
Without
at
an
that.
oopsie,
Without a mistake. Yeah.
Mr. Moran should be in good shape here at
Same
point.
cannot be said for Trevor Russell and Jace Petty. Jace Petty's only 0.5 of a second behind Trevor Russell, so that is still that is a conflict that is on. You are
right.
watching it right there as they come through turn 5. Now we saw Jace Petty try and make a sort of half-hearted attempt at turn 6. It didn't really work out. He's still taking a pretty wide swing of that turn 6, actually. And he's unfortunately starting to slide backwards here in a way that is definitely not conducive to him getting around Trevor Russell. This is our last race of the day, for what it's worth. We've had four or five races here today. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Our first race scheduled to start at
10-something.
Our first race is scheduled to start at 11:05.
11:05. There you go.
That'll be our first race of the day. That'll be Group 2 at it again. There'll be a break between the 11:05 race and the next race, which is 12:45.
Correct.
And then we are finishing with our final race at 2:55. That'll be Group 6, closing things out. So this group back out there again. Tomorrow the race is a little bit longer, 30 minutes or 18 laps, depending. So I don't think many cars will probably go into 8-lap territory. Most of it is probably going to be the 30-minute mark, but gives you a good idea of what to expect tomorrow here at Buttonwillow. So we will be back, of course, with the broadcast here on the Racing Network to give you all that racing action. But for now, we'll see if Trevor Russell holds on to his pole position in his category or whether Jace Petty is able to make something up. And judging by the fact that there seems to be a very big gap between the two of them, I'm not so sure that the ball is going to land in Jace Petty's court just yet.
Yeah, it was now 0.8 last time by. Looks like it's tightened up just a tiny bit. That doesn't look like 0.8 of a second to me.
It does not.
A lot of back and forth going on here.
Ooh. That might just be the camera angle, but I feel like the back went out wide on that turn.
Yeah.
But it's a little hard to tell sometimes. Again, not a racing car driver. So everything I do is just, observations. But
Well, that slowed things down. Is that the battle for the lead?
I don't think so. Don't think so. Not sure, for what it's worth.
Oh, Jace Petty spun at turn 7. And he has continued, it looks like, but he is going to be way down the order. So much so that Troy Shooter is going to take over second place.
Oh, but Troy Shooter is 12 seconds behind
Yeah.
Trevor Russell, so that's unfortunate there for Jace Petty. I mean, it does happen. And has sort of, that's unfortunately, I want to say that's usually the way these things tend to end. Is you're putting so much pressure on yourself, on the car, trying to find any opportunity on the track that it's very easy to just make a mistake. We saw it happen earlier today, seeing it happen again. Good news, celebratory news even for Trevor Russell, because that means he's pretty much sewed this one up. Unless he makes his own whoopsie out there, I do not think that in the remaining 5, maybe 4 minutes of this race official time, Troy Shooter is making up a 12-second gap.
Yeah, I would suggest that's probably unlikely.
Yeah,
especially we got, like you said, 4 minutes to go here.
Yeah, not much longer here before we're getting that white flag. So, I mean, anything is possible. Just seems highly impossible. So
Anything is possible except for the things that aren't possible.
exactly, yeah. Joseph Moran, too. I mean, he's still got a decent lead. I give credit here to Johnny Crean, who has genuinely battled from deeper back. I think he was fourth or fifth at the start of this.
1.8 seconds.
Yeah, and he has cut. Yeah, that's quick.
Find that battle.
Yeah, the problem with that group at the top is that I feel like there's a lot of cars out there on the track right now in that initial area who all kind of look like each other. So I don't actually know who Joseph Moran is or who Johnny Crean is for that matter. But it is a spectacular effort by Johnny Crean to make up that much of a difference.
All right, so that car right there that just came into our view, that is Joe Moran.
What? Oh, okay.
Actually, no,
right.
That's Joe Moran. That's Johnny Crean. So
okay,
there we are.
There you go. No, no. There's a change in that.
Oh.
Johnny Crean.
Oh, there you go.
Lead, followed by Joseph Moran. So somewhere out there in the ether, in between the gaps in the cameras, like a thief in the night, Johnny Crean has stolen Joseph Moran's spot. He patched us a live feed of him just holding 9, and then in reality, he oceaned 11th us. Oh, man.
All right, so this time by, Johnny Crean's going to get the white flag. There he is, coming in and out of your view.
Oh, that's got to be so frustrating for Joe Moran. Oh, that's annoying. Joseph Moran hadn't done anything wrong, I don't think. He's just kind of not. He just kind of got past. Let me double check. Maybe he did do something wrong. Nope, he didn't.
No.
He's been clean as a whistle, so not his problem. Unfortunately, nothing he can do about Johnny Crean stealing that lead from under his nose and opening the gap up to almost 2 seconds. Rough. Yeah, there's just not a lot of time left either.
No,
I mean,
it's not. I mean, this will be
I
white
don't know.
flag.
Yeah, I don't know how you make that up. It's not.
You don't.
Probably, realistically speaking. I mean, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, I wonder what happened. I mean, we didn't see it, so it's a little hard to know. Johnny Crean obviously had been building up some speed on the laps, had managed to battle his way into that second place, but there clearly had to be something that Joseph Moran did to kind of surrender that spot. And I'll tell you what, Johnny Crean got that lead and just destroyed it. I mean, he blew it up. 5.3 seconds. He's going so fast.
Well, I think it's just pace. I mean, he's running laps that were 3-4 seconds a lap faster.
136.841, the fastest lap of the day. And yeah, that's just fast.
Just fast.
A new track record for Formula Atlantic, by the way. Greg Labate, 139.079. Congratulations on your new track record.
There you go. Final couple corners to go here. There's your race leader right there, Johnny Crean.
Yeah.
Second place, Joe Moran right here.
Just tailing him, but never going to make that up at the end of this. That's done. So I don't know what Johnny Crean did. I think you're right. I think it might have just been, Brian, an issue of pacing.
Yeah.
Just keeping a consistent speed and doing a good job of holding his line.
Checkered flag is in the air. Johnny Crean is your race winner. Followed not too far behind. Joe Moran will come across the line, I believe, second. Still waiting for that to happen. There he is. Wow, look at that. In one lap or a lap and a half in 8.2 seconds.
Wow. He opened it up so far. He put 3 more seconds on that time. Crazy stuff.
Crazy
from
stuff.
Johnny Crean at the tail end. Johnny Crean, by the way, I think he started in like 5th. So that was a heck of a race right there for him. And, of course, Trevor Russell will come across the line in just a second here for the second group. But let's go ahead and give you the unofficial results for raceschool.com. Starting with your overall race leader, number 134, Johnny Crean, followed by number 7, Joseph Moran in second place. In third, number 18, Tom Hope. In fourth, number 35, Greg Labate. In fifth, number 44, Paul Marino. In sixth, 32, Trevor Russell. In 7th, number 87, Troy Shooter. In 8th, number 24, Jace Petty. In 9th, number 23, Ete Naur. And then followed by Mark Russell, Gary Peterson, Nick Kodenko, Chuck Holst, John Fabianic, Paul McFarland, and Andy Chan. And I should add right there at the very tail end, new track record for Andy Chan for P2, 205.495. Congratulations.
All right, that is your official, unofficial race results here, brought to you by raceschool.com. Of course, these are the Cal Club regional races here out at the circuit at Buttonwillow, brought to you by PorterfieldBrakes.com. They are our presenting sponsor. All your braking needs and a bunch of other cool stuff. Check them out, Porterfield-Brakes.com. He's Tristan Parker. I'm Brian Belansky. That's going to do it for us today. We will come back again tomorrow morning and do it one more time. Actually, we're going to do it 5 more times tomorrow. We got 5 races. As we said earlier, first one is around 11:05. Then we have a bit of a break for lunch, and then we'll be back for the last 4 races starting at 12:45. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great evening. Stay safe. Go out there and play with cars.